Welcome to the Balls Talk Sports NFL podcast. I'm Elson Gratz. That's Victor Ratliff. Today we had a little delay before the show that gave me time to wash all the blood off my legs, and now we are officially ready to bring you our 2025 NFL season predictions. Victor, you can tell by the backdrop, how does it feel to be back on campus?
I can tell you, it's real nice. We're not in the studio today. Unfortunately, we won't be able to get in the studio for a week or so, but it's nice to be back. Feeling the energy, doing the work. It's good. I feel like it's just easier for me to do work, watch tape, research football when I'm on campus. I don't know why, but it's really good to be back for many reasons. One of them that I will get to play football with you, Elson, this year. And we get to watch the TU football team play football. We're recording this the night before the first game of the season. So good luck. They're going to do great. I'm very excited.
We are immersed in the football experience. In fact, the reason I was bloody is because we were putting some pickup work in before the episode. That's why I had to delay it, because I always assume I'm going to have more time than I actually do, naturally.
Yeah.
Every single time. I'm like a
course.
complete nuisance. I'm excited to be back in the studio pretty soon, mostly because I feel terrible for my roommate, because I'm going to be yelling about football till about 10 p.m., maybe 10:30 p.m.
Yeah.
But this is probably the only episode that we'll have to do in our actual rooms.
Hopefully, because I don't know what I'm going to call this episode. It's probably going to be something like Ultimate Season Overview of the 2025 season, but we're also picking week one in this episode, so this will be a tandem episode. We're not going to pick. So for this overall NFL season, we will generally do record predictions or week predictions every week, picking who we think is going to win that week. But sometimes we want to do other stuff, right? We want to throw in an episode, the Balls Talk Sports Pro Bowl Spectacular, just things like that. We wanted to catch up on how college football is going, how some guys have shown out. So we're not going to be doing we're not going to be doing predictions every week, but we'll happen. I think it'll be most weeks. We'll get a good schedule going.
And we'll make sure that we do make predictions for every week and that they're out there somewhere, so that we have like clear evidence to back up our records at the end of the season.
Our incredible graphic design team, which is just Elson, is going to do. He'll put out our predictions. So we'll have all 272 out on the Instagram. So you can go out there and check. And when it comes time end of the season, we'll actually have all 272 picked, which we did last year, but we didn't have it on the record. I am the reigning champion of predictions,
Yep.
right? I have a higher. I think I beat you by like 1% last year, maybe. So.
Oh, I don't even think it was 1%.
It was like 0.5,
a third or a fourth of a percent. Yeah.
Yeah, it was.
But
It was
that's
really
still
close.
like 6, 7, 8 games. Which,
Yeah,
not bad.
I think I had like 67.5 and you had like 69.6 or something percent. So pretty good numbers overall. Let's see who wins this year. I'm excited. But yes, today we are overviewing the 2025 NFL season, the entire thing. We're going to be talking about every team, predicting every team's record. Obviously, we're not going to be going in depth on every team. We don't have 6 hours. We would if we could, but we can't, so we shan't. So we're just going to be doing a brief overview. If you do want to go in depth onto every team, there are plenty of guys out there on the internet who have done in-depth overviews of each team, namely the Bootleg Football Podcast have done full hour episodes on all 32 teams leading up to the season. Go watch those. They're incredible. Some of the best, some of the most well-done stuff out there. But if you want a quick overview of all 32 in one spot, this is the place to be. So stick around. We're going to be covering a lot of topics in the next couple hours.
Victor, as you can see by the background behind me, I got the dungeon vibe going. Are you ready to get kinky?
Let's get kinky for the first time back at TU. It's awesome. And you know what? This is the first time where it's the Balls Talk Sports NFL podcast. We're talking about the NFL again. I'm so excited. We finally made it.
All right, so I'm thinking for format, we go division by division, and we'll give our week one predictions like you mentioned, and sort of the one take we have or the team outlook. Do you want to start in the NFC or AFC, first of all?
Oh, let's start in the AFC. Why don't we?
AFC North?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. And do we want to go worst to first? It doesn't have to be official, but in terms of sort of prestige heading into the year, do we want to start with the best?
Let's do worst to first. And since you're kind of the MC, he's our. I don't. You're the host. I'm the co-host, right? I feel like that's
We're
you.
both co-hosts.
No, we're both
You do
co-hosts,
the
but like
hard stuff, and I do slightly more talking during the episodes.
no. We both do the hard stuff, but like you intro the stuff. So let's go based off your worst to first. Why don't we do that? Because you're gonna intro. You kind of go. You do the transitions. He's got these great transitions.
Okay, so for the AFC North, I have a feeling this is one we're going to agree on.
Are you sure?
Cleveland Browns.
Yeah. So
So,
Cleveland
Victor, how do
Browns.
you view this team?
Well, not very good if we're being honest. The Browns are always a team that have a fine defense, a solid offensive line, and just no quarterback, and that hasn't changed this year. I have them going 3-14. They're starting Joe Flacco week 1, and if he doesn't work out, Dylan Gabriel and Shadur Sanders, neither of them look like they're too good or ready to start in the NFL yet and win football games. So if they had a better roster around them, maybe I'd say, okay, we could stabilize it. But Flacco without a good roster, I just don't think he's going to be very good. I got them going 3-14, and I think that might be being generous because you got a lot of talent on this defensive line. But we got to remember, last year they had all that talent. And they still went 3-14. This is just a team that is. We talk about teams who know how to win. This is a team who knows how to lose, and they do it all the time. I don't think that changes this season, especially when you've got one of, if not the worst quarterbacks. According to the model, they've got the worst quarterback situation in the league. So it's a bleak outlook for Cleveland. We're looking at the 2026 draft already.
I think it's impossible to be optimistic about the Browns. They don't have a floor and they don't have a ceiling. Maybe 2, 3 years ago, you look at this as one of the better offensive lines in the NFL. But the fact is, all the pieces now are unproven or they've aged well past their prime. I don't think that there are any high end weapons on this team. And I think among NFL fans, there's still some nostalgia for those really fun Joe Flacco runs, post Ravens when he was out there slinging it. He'll still sling it for you. But the fact is, with the Colts, he wasn't good last year.
No.
And now he's another year older with a worse supporting cast. Yeah, the defense is pretty good. They have pieces in the secondary where maybe if the situation was better, you hope that Greg Newsome and company can get back to it. Denzel Ward is obviously still a stud and a good defensive line. But what tends to happen with good defenses, even really good, great defenses that have no offensive support, the effort starts to fall off. They just can't sustain deep into the season. So maybe the Browns can steal a few wins early. I have them going 4-13, but like you said, draft season comes early in Cleveland this year.
Yeah, it's not great. And I do think part of it will also depend on that offensive line because we're always kind of just used to Cleveland having a good offensive line. Well, this year, you've got the three main pieces. The three classic pieces that have been on that offensive line forever, Bitonio, Teller, and Conklin, are all either really close to 30 or over 30, and it's kind of starting to show with all of their play. So if they decline even more, then we're talking about Joe Flacco trying to run around back there with a receiver room that he has nowhere to throw to. And if you put in Shadur Sanders behind that offensive line, I can't see it getting much better. Obviously his man issue coming out of college and persisting in the preseason, which don't put much stock in the preseason. He didn't look great in the preseason apart from a couple of drives in week 1. I don't put much stock in that. Same with I don't put much stock in the fact that Dylan Gabriel played well. I don't know how they're going to do behind that offensive line if it gets bad, so that could even get worse. I don't think this team's 0-17 because that defense is bound to win a few games, but I don't think the offense is going to be a part of that winning.
So, do you have them taking it home against the Bengals in week 1?
Now, the Bengals do start slow. I don't think they're going to start this slow. I think the Bengals get the win, but they lost to the Patriots last year, week 1, so who knows? I can't pick against the Bengals. I can't pick the Browns in week 1. I just can't do it. So, yeah, Bengals over the Browns.
So moving on, technically, I have the Bengals as my second team in the AFC North, but spoiler alert, I have both them in the Pittsburgh Steelers at 9-8 in my record prediction. So why don't we take the easy transition and go to the Cincinnati Bengals? Tell me, Victor, is there any reason I should view this year's Bengals any differently than last year's Bengals in terms of Yeah, they're going to put up a lot of points and they're going to generate explosives when you have Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase and T. Higgins and speed in the backfield. You're going to be able to go toe to toe with just about anybody, but it doesn't feel like a formula that's conducive to playoff success because I don't think they got a whole lot better in the offseason on defense.
Yeah, it's tough because I think this defense is going to be interesting, but it's just comprised of a few X factors that will really change. Because really, all you need to be is the 25th best defense in the league, and I think this team is in the playoffs. But if they're 32 again, then they still might find their way into the playoffs. By the way, do we want to reveal who our playoff teams are as we go, or do we want to just do it all at the end?
Yeah, why don't we reveal them as we go? I do have the Bengals in the playoffs.
I do as well. The Bengals sneak in as my 7 seed. I have them going 10-7. So I don't know if they can do this without that, but I think they will. And that brings us to my X factor for the Bengals season, which is their nickel, Dax Hill. Hurt all of last year. Yeah, we see it too. Hurt all of last year. Played it. I believe that was his second year in the league last year.
I believe so, yeah.
I think he also struggled with injuries his first year, but he's gotten the clean bill of health. Okay. So he's going to come in third year, learned a lot. He was great in college, and the staff still has a lot of belief in him. They're saying he's going to take on a massive role. He's what they were missing last year in the secondary. They were clearly counting on Dax Hill to be a big part of that team. If you remember from last year, everybody in training camp was talking about how good this guy is. And then he got hurt, and it just derailed the team. And considering the rest of the corners just weren't all that good, him plus Al Golden. I'm not saying Lou Anarumo's bad DC. He's a great DC. It's just he could not work with that poor talent. Maybe Golden can. We're just going to have to see. I'm not saying he will. That is another reason for hope. Anarumo's great. It's just when you have that bad of a roster, it's so hard to work with it. Some guys can, though, and maybe Golden's one of those guys. But I believe in Dax Hill, and I think they added a couple of really nice linebackers in the draft, Demetrius Knight and Barrett Carter, if one of them can fill in. And maybe Shamar Stewart plays really well year one. There are reasons to believe this defense can avoid being the worst in the league again. And you're just going to need a couple of shots in the draft, and you're going to need some guys returning back to injury to really hit to reach that ceiling.
Dax Hill and sort of Demetrius Knight, because I think if any rookie that didn't go in the first round is going to make an impact defensively, it very well may be Demetrius Knight. They're kind of my two asterisks on the statement that the Bengals defense didn't get any better. I'm still just concerned that it didn't get better enough because sure, putting Hill back in there probably takes a liability off the field in your secondary, but at the end of the day, you're still running out DJ Turner, Cam Taylor-Britt, Geno Stone, and Jordan Battle. And you're starting TJ Slayton, who, look, as a Packers fan, I love TJ Slayton, nose tackle. He'll go out there and plug the run for you. But I have my reservations about the Bengals. I know they're going to be fun to watch, but hey, I do still have them as my 7th seed.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Slayton, I like this interior defensive line because there's so many guys in there. You've also got Chris Jenkins to back him up. You've got McKinley Jackson. Both looked good last year and had a better second half of the year, which is what you want to see from rookies. So, I am a little bit more hopeful with this Bengals defense. And honestly, the model, which I've been spent the last month, last few weeks working on this model to really just overall how I feel about rosters. The model has the Bengals as the 17th best defense in the league. So listen, will they
How
be
high
that?
do you have Shamar Stewart in your model?
10, 11. He's 11 out of 10. No, but I mean, you just look at this team. They have a lot of pieces. I think they improved a lot. But yeah, the safety room's really bad. The corner room's just a massive question mark. And that's why Dax Hill is the X factor. If he works out, I really do think that this is a fine enough defense to support a legendary offense. If he doesn't, then that secondary is just going to be too bad to really, it's just going to look a lot like last year. So that's why he's such an important player to this team. But yeah, like we said, I think they take it home against the Browns week 1.
Now pivoting to literally the exact opposite NFL team. Is Mike Tomlin going to extend the winning season streak?
Yes, he will. I have them going 10-7 as well. However, missing the playoffs. They're 8 seed. They lose. I have them losing to the Bengals in the last week of the year to give that the Bengals win that must-win game and catapult themselves into the playoffs. Yeah, they really are polar opposites, aren't they?
I think that this is a defense that could be borderline suffocating because
Yeah.
we know what a strength the defensive line in particular is for the Steelers. And now you add Derek Harmon into that, who I think is ready to make an impact on day one, and even Yaya Black to be that space eater and push Keanu Benton into a little more of an, I don't want to say a pass rush specialist role, but keep him fresh. Maybe he'll have his most efficient season as a pass rusher. And what they put behind it after, well, look, I know losing Minka Fitzpatrick is a big loss, but there's a reason they cut Beanie Bishop. Now you've got Jalen Ramsey in the slot. What they have behind that defensive line, I think, is also probably going to be stronger than last year. The big question is, can this offense be decent? I think it can, but I don't think that they're set up for success, which is why I think they're going to be the same old Steelers, because you've got Aaron Rodgers, who in his day, one of the best deep balls in the NFL, one of the best play extenders to create explosives in the NFL. That is not who Aaron Rodgers is anymore. And I just have a really hard time believing that a player who's become such a get the ball out quick, on time chemistry thrower is going to develop that chemistry with DK Metcalf, of all people. I love Caleb Johnson. I don't think he by himself can save this run game or at least turn it into a major strength. I think they're going to be fine, but it's really hard to be excited.
Yeah, and that's why the biggest X factor for me for this team is Roman Wilson. You know, we're talking about a guy who really is in the mold of Rodgers' favorite targets. Alan Lazard, right? Well, he's not big like that, but you know, you think back to Rodgers always loved. He's in that Randall Cobb mold, right?
There you
The
go.
guy
Yeah.
who's maybe not the fastest guy, but he is really shifty. And Roman Wilson is also pretty decently fast and a good route runner, which is what he was coming out of college. We didn't see much out of him last year. What we did, I liked, but it was just so little you can't really tell. That's if he can have that reliable target underneath or over the top, if he's able to really harness that speed, then maybe he can go to Metcalf in a little bit more of a sparing role, not just you're the only player I can throw to. Then maybe you can start to work on that, really work on what you're best at and not have to, and kind of hide the inconsistencies in Metcalf's game. Then maybe we can get Rodgers on a roll. Also, Font now, right tackle, missed most of last year as a rookie. If he needs to play well because Jones, you can't count on him right now. You need at least one good tackle. If you don't, Rodgers is going to get killed all day. You're not making the playoffs with Rodgers under pressure every play.
So the NFL schedulers did a good job with this one. Rodgers returns to New York for week. Wait, what the hell am I looking at, Victor? No, that is week one, right?
Yeah.
They do in
Rodgers
fact go to
returns
New
to New
York to
York.
play the Jets in week one. Who you got in that game?
I got Rodgers and the Steelers winning it, going to New York. It's just Aaron Glenn's first game, entirely new staff, entirely new quarterback, Justin Fields going up again, and then you got TJ Watt and Alex Highsmith going up against a rookie tackle and Olu Fashanu, the second-year tackle who's still learning the position, who's still really learning the league and the speed. It's going to be an uphill battle all day for the Jets.
I think it's going to be a slog. I think the Jets are going to be in it. They're going to play the Steelers tough. I don't think Pittsburgh is really a team that's going to run right over anybody. They're going to have to earn it every single game, but I have to concur. I think they do earn it against the Jets.
But yeah, I also think they're going to get in some slogs with some good teams, and I think they're going to shock some people. Like I had one where I was just like, the matchups are so good for Pittsburgh. I think I'm going to pick them, and it was over a powerhouse. Let's see. I picked them over Buffalo, which is crazy. But I looked at the game. I was like, you know what? Why not just give it to Pittsburgh? When you're picking 272 games, sometimes you just want to give yourself a little bit of a spark. Pick a crazy upset. That's what I did. I was like, Steelers could beat the Bills because they could. Because the Bills are known to get in slogs sometimes when things aren't going right. Steelers, Mike Tomlin's still a good coach, man. He can get in slogs and he can win them. That's why I think they'll go 10-7, but they'll miss the playoffs because the AFC is ridiculously stacked. Ridiculously.
I'm so excited to have the Bills conversation because I don't know. There's some reason to have reservation about the Bills, but come on. They got Josh Allen and other pieces as well. So stay tuned for that. And then I think our consensus number one team in the AFC North, the Baltimore Ravens. We know they're going to be good. They have star power on both sides of the ball. They filled out the roster depth with a really strong 2025 NFL draft. What record do you have them with?
Let's see here. Jesus Christ. Okay. Um, I've got them going 14-3.
I like it. Now, look, for the sake of trying to maximize accuracy, I don't even know why I bother with this because I'm not actually like going to cross grade myself particularly hard against how I predicted these teams at the beginning of the season. It's so hard for me to call a team only having 3 losses. So I've got them at 12-5, but I think they are my favorite team by record. I did not pick any other 12-5 teams because I am a total coward. We remember how dominant the Ravens were during last year's regular season. I don't see any reason why that's not going to remain into this year. All the offensive cogs are still there. I think the offensive line is going to be as good, if not better, than it was last season. This team's ambitions are to make it back to the playoffs, improve it in the playoffs. I think that is how they are operating right now. They know what they have to do in the regular season. It's just about getting over the hump. If there's one thing that was a weakness for them last season, the secondary was really rough at times. I thought they did a solid job patching that up in the offseason, and I don't foresee it being nearly as much of an issue. I'm extremely excited about the Ravens, and they absolutely have Super Bowl upside.
You're talking about the secondary. It's like, I don't think it's going to be much of an issue. I think it's going to be a strength. Maybe the best corner room in the league, if we're being honest. Like, maybe not, but top 3, I think I'd say that. Nate Wiggins, Marlon Humphrey, Jair Alexander, Anchidobe Awuzie's depth, that can't hurt. And then the safety room, you got Kyle Hamilton, just got a big payday, well-deserved, one of the best football players in the league. And Malachi Starks was an absolute stud at Georgia and is probably going to come in and continue that because he's one of the most pro-ready players in the draft. This is a ridiculous Ravens team. This is the best Ravens team we have seen in the Lamar Jackson era. And that's why I'm going to pick them to go 14-3, because I look at most games. I don't think they will be, I don't know what the line is for Buffalo Baltimore. If they win that game, I don't think they're favored to lose any game. I really don't. This is how dominant of a team this is going to be. There are really no weaknesses. The one concern I have is you have those 2 young guards who haven't really proven themselves, Voorhees and Falele. Falele's gotten run over in the preseason. If that becomes a problem and Jackson is getting under pressure, then they'll have to deal with that. It also could not be, and guard is not exactly the highest most important position, but you still don't want to have 2 weak links on an offensive line. 1 weak link you can handle. One of those guys has to go out there and prove that they can be an NFL starter if this team wants to really live up to the preseason night.
You're doing a good job selling me on the Ravens, especially just reading off that defensive backs room. If I can play devil's advocate for a second, I will say, even though they run at least 4 deep, literally all of those guys have some sort of injury question mark. I mean, Wuzier is a veteran who's been hurt at times. Marlowe has been hurt at times. Jair couldn't stay on the field for the Packers, and Nate Wiggins weighs about 155 pounds. However, when you're making these preseason predictions, you're not going to go based off of, I think all of their cornerbacks are going to get hurt. That is a really, really exciting room. They could be dominant on both sides of the ball. And I might just make him my Super Bowl pick. We'll have to see. I'm still debating up in here.
I didn't even mention TJ Tampa, who looked good last year as a rookie in sparing time.
Did he fall to the 4th round 2 years ago?
4th round guy out of Iowa State.
I'm not going to pretend that I watched his tape, because last year was by far my most efficient year in terms of actually watching prospects. And then this summer was another step up over that. But I know we had buzz, so that could actually quickly develop into one of the deepest secondaries in the league.
Oh, yeah. If you haven't watched the summer scouting series that we did over the summer, and you want to get up to date on some of the biggest prospects of next year's draft, go watch it. There's some great videos. If you're a ball knower, I think you'll appreciate them.
And I think they're all going to age perfectly.
Yeah, 100%.
All right, ready for the NFC North?
Let's do. Oh wait, what do we have? Who's Baltimore? Oh yeah, we've got a clash of the Titans in Week 1. Baltimore, Buffalo, rematch of the divisional round of last year. Who do you got taking that one home? Baltimore's going to Orchard Park for Sunday Night Football.
When I was comparing these matchups, making this pick, I came to the conclusion that the Ravens are just the better team, and it's going to be a battle. It's going to be a high variance game. It always is when you have two genuinely elite, game changing quarterbacks going toe to toe. But especially week 0, when we don't know a ton about these teams yet, I got to go with the one that's better on paper.
Yeah, I'm going to go there too. Baltimore's had this circled for 4 months. They lost by a couple of drops last year. It was they had to go to Orchard Park in January where it's cold as balls. Lamar wasn't on his best game. He got better as it progressed, but he made a couple of mistakes early on. You bet that's not going to happen this week. Mark Andrews isn't going to drop that 2-point conversion this week. Baltimore's getting their get back, and I'm not. It's not going to be dominant because Buffalo's a damn good team. It's going to be must-watch television. I think Baltimore gets it done though.
You know, they got Mark Andrews looking like Lester Hayes, just covered in the sticky stuff.
Yeah, anytime they're going to have Mark Andrews on the field, when they throw the ball to him, the entire stadium's catching a breath. Because if he drops it, honestly, I think he'll get killed when he goes back to Baltimore. If he drops another touchdown pass or 2-point conversion, just get asked to be cut, man, because you deserve it.
I'm so rooting for him to make a play in the playoffs this year.
Too.
Come on,
he needs to. Yeah, for sure.
All right, NFC North.
The NFC North. All right, let's do it.
All right, so my fourth team, I don't think there's any bias going into this, is the Chicago Bears. And this is one of, I'm going to say, 2 teams where I don't think I have any idea what they're going to be just because of how many wild card variables are at play here. And I think you've got to start with the offense. How much is Ben Johnson's play calling going to carry this offense forward? Because the bones of a really, really nice offense are there. Caleb was fine last year. Obviously, you're hoping that he takes a big step up. I really do like the way that they remade the offensive line that was problematic last season. And you have a ton of exciting pass catching options. It's just about pulling the right levers at the right times and seeing how much chemistry you can form. And look, you mentioned it earlier. I don't put much stock into the preseason. I don't put much stock into training camp, but the vibes that I've gotten from the Chicago Bears haven't blown me away, is all I'm going to say. And I find it really tough to bet on them heading into the season. Nonetheless, still got them at 9-8.
Well, I've got them at 8 and 9, so we see them pretty similarly. Yeah, it's just about how much can Ben Johnson do and how high is this defense's ceiling, and how much of a step forward is Caleb Williams going to take? Like you said, it's just who knows with this team. I mean, you're starting to Roma Dunze looked good in flashes last year. Can he take that step up to be the true X? Because Moore, you prefer as a Z, and then Burton in the slot, or hell, you can play Moore in the slot. Burton is the Z. Moore can play X. Roma Dunze can play Z. You could do a lot of different variations with this receiver core, and you bet Ben Johnson's been salivating at that thought. Put that on the field. And you also got Colson Loveland, the stud tight end out of Michigan, coming in. Really great reports out of training camp. You got a revamped offensive line. Looks real nice, but how quickly are they going to be able to connect? How quickly is that chemistry going to be able to come along? Will they be able to pick up stunts? Will they be able to call out blitzes week 1 like it's nothing? There's just too many questions to really put your balls in any court. So I'm gonna make the safe play, and go 8 and 9. And they're going to miss the playoffs.
Especially just because of how brutal, not just the NFC North is. Obviously, there's going to be cannibalism going on there, but the NFC North teams don't have an easy schedule either because they play the AFC North. And the AFC North outside of the Browns is another really good division. The Bears are just fighting an uphill battle here to make the playoffs and even to have a winning record. They're the offseason champions. They've got a lot to prove. I didn't love everything they did in the offseason, but what's clear is they have the tools to be a solid football team. I just hope it all falls apart, though. I'm so excited for this year.
Yeah, Model has them as the number 20 team in the league, and I think I agree. What do we think their outlook is for week 1?
So they're taking on the Vikings. They get to play with home field advantage. Victor, I know it's JJ McCarthy's first start. I really like the Vikings this season. And I'm going to pick the Vikings to get it done on the road.
I think I will agree with you. So we've agreed on every pick so far. Great.
Look, we're just starting. We'll definitely have some differences. We got 16 games to pick.
We got to build up steam. Yeah, I'll agree. It's just that Vikings team is too good. And the Bears, I just think that defensive line and Flores, it is an underrated part of football, how like these kind of thrown together offensive lines like the Bears are. I mean, 3 new starters, correct me if I'm wrong. Drew Dahlman, Joe
You're correct.
Tooney,
Yep. The
and Jonah
entire
Jackson.
interior.
Entire interior are all new to the team, all going to be playing with each other for the first time, going against Brian Flores' wicked mastermind of a defensive game plan and those just quarterback hungry defensive linemen they got over there in Minnesota. It's just going to be a tough game for the Bears to win.
All right. And my next team is the Detroit Lions. I've got them at 10-7, and I want to hear what you think because I'm not sure if I have a take or not placing them third in the NFC North.
So I've got them second in the NFC North. I've got them going 11-6. And I felt like that was a little low, but it's a weird team, right? It's a strange team because a lot of this team is unknown because you had 2 of the best coordinators in the NFL last year in Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn, and now they're both gone, and you're going to have to replace them with who's the guy that the guy they got from the Broncos is the new OC, John something maybe.
Let me look this up.
Yeah, and then
I really should know this.
I don't know who the DC is.
John Morton.
Yeah, they got John Morton from the Broncos, passing game coordinator, I believe. And I think they promoted their defensive line coach to defensive coordinator.
Yes.
Terrell Williams.
Kelvin Shepard, it looks like.
Kelvin Shepard. Terrell Williams is the Patriots guy.
Yes.
Yeah, you're right. It's Kelvin Shepard. Terrell Williams, the Patriots defensive line coach. So unknowns there. I mean, part of why the Lions have been so good the past 2 years is because they've had 2 of the best coordinators in football. Pair that with the fact that you've lost a couple of big-time players up front. Aleem McNeil went out with the ACL late last year. Who knows when he's going to be playing and if he'll ever get back to full strength. And Levi Onwuzurike out for the season with an ACL tear. And Aiden Hutchinson coming back from an injury that could linger. Hopefully it doesn't. There is a lot of questions on that defensive line. There are a lot of questions in the secondary as well. The corner room with Terry and Arnold being one of the outside corners. Can he take that step up this year? Offensively, how much of Jared Goff was Ben Johnson is really what we got to figure out. And unfortunately, I don't think we're going to be able to figure that out until the season starts because you got to remember Jared Goff sucked before Ben Johnson got there. Even when he was in Detroit, before Ben Johnson was there, he was not a good quarterback. So with John Morton, I don't think he's a bad quarterback, but we're just going to see how that's going to go. You still got a whole bunch of talent on this roster. You still got Dan Campbell leading the charge. This is a team that's going to play together because Dan Campbell is the head coach. They're not going to have any issues. They're not going to make it as many mistakes as other teams will because they're a well-coached team. It's just going to come down to how much of these injuries going to hurt them and what residual effects of those coordinators. How well can you replace Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn? You can't replace them, but we can recreate them in the aggregate, right? Let's try and do that, and we'll see if that works for Detroit this year.
I wouldn't say that I have any week 1 questions about Detroit's defense. I think that they're still going to be a really strong unit. I think they have talent on the defensive line. I think the secondary is just fine. They run deep at linebacker. It's really the offense I'm more worried about. For one, because I do think that Ben Johnson was the more impactful coordinator. And 2, because I really think there are 3 floor raisers on the offense for any NFL team. They are a really strong offensive line, a really good quarterback, and a really good offensive coordinator. I think 2 of those have fallen to the wayside for the Lions. Don't get me wrong. They still got talent on the O-line. You still got Taylor Decker and Penei Sewell, who they're just going to use a ton in the run game, almost designing plays for Sewell, for Jahmyr Gibbs, and getting them in space, working in tandem, because the interior has gotten a lot shakier. Right now, they're slated to start Christian Mahogany, Graham Glasgow, and Tate Ratledge, the rookie. And if that dominant interior run game isn't really available for them, how much does that affect Jared Goff's process? And how much does the diminished play calling affect Jared Goff's process? I've always been a little bit 1 foot in, 1 foot out on Jared Goff because I think he is one of the highest floor system QBs in the NFL. But if you watch him play, I think it's really, really tough to say you are watching a top 10, even top 12 QB. To be honest with you, kind of looks like he's making the same throw over and over again. Obviously, different responsibilities for different plays, but his ability to attack the middle of the field on time and trust his eyes and structure, I don't know. I'm a little nervous about that. They're going to be good. They have a ton of talent. They're going to play tough. We know that. You don't want them after a bye week. You don't want them after a loss. You don't want them when they have momentum. You never want to play the Detroit Lions. But if last year they couldn't win the Super Bowl with a diminished defense, I don't know if they can pull it off this year with a diminished offense.
Yeah, it's going to be tough. Losing Frank Ragnow is just a blow to the heart. Obviously retires a little bit unexpectedly. Relatively young age for an offensive lineman, but you know what? If the health is not there, you got to do what's best for you, you know. So hope that he's going to be okay with all of that. Such a great player, Ragnow was for such a long time. They're really going to miss him this year. And that's why I do have them losing to Green Bay in week 1. I just think there's a lot of change. Yeah, there's a lot of change this year for Detroit. New coordinators, new guys on the interior. You're just going to have to figure out a lot of stuff that you haven't had to figure out for the last couple of years if you're Detroit. So I think that's going to take them a bit. And I think the Packers, who retained a lot of their talent, actually added new talent. We'll talk about that in a second. But they have a lot of returning players who are really good, and coordinators and coaching are really stable. I think they will come out more ready to go week 1.
I hate to keep up with just agreeing with you on all these games, but in a really close one, I've got the Packers coming out on top in Lambeau, which definitely plays a role in it in week 1. I have concerns with the Packers. I think that interior defensive line run defense after trading away Kenny Clark could be potentially problematic. You've got to have a dominant pass rush because of what you're working with in the secondary, particularly in the cornerback room. And, we're still learning what Jordan Love is, unfortunately. He's definitely not a floor-raising quarterback. You need Jordan Love to get hot. You need him to make the right decisions at the right times. But I'm really excited to see the Packers this season, especially after the addition of Micah Parsons. That added a full win onto my projection because going from starting Rashawn Gary and Lucas Van Ness to starting Rashawn Gary on early downs and then Micah Parsons beside him and having Van Ness and Kingsley Enagbari as your 3 and 4 makes a tremendous difference. One of the reasons it was so hard to see Super Bowl upside for the Packers last year is the pass rush just wasn't that great. And I think Micah Parsons single-handedly fixes that. On the offense, we know what Matt LaFleur brings. They're going to drop a really strong run game. The offensive line is going to be just fine. If anything, it's going to be better because Elton Jenkins can just play every position you want him to. I mean, Tucker Kraft goes down, you can run him out there at tight end. He's kicking into center this year. And I'm not a big Aaron Banks guy. Doesn't matter. I still think he makes the offensive line better in the aggregate by hopefully being better than Josh Myers was last season. Need a couple things to go right. You need somebody to step up in the receiver room. To be realistic, I think it's got to be Matthew Golden because there's so many health and hands question marks about all the other options there. I have the Packers going 11-6 on the year.
I don't know, man. Jaden Reed, he refused to give Micah Parsons number 11. If that's not an elite wide receiver move, I don't know what is. Right? So I got belief.
Okay. I don't want to interrupt you, but did you hear the Jaden Reed wide receiver 1 thing over the offseason? He went to the coaching staff and basically made the coaching staff give him confirmation that he's still the wide receiver 1 after drafting Matthew Golden. And this shit came entirely out of nowhere. It never seemed like Jaden Reed was that type of a player, but his stock is way up after that move because you need that in a wide receiver.
Exactly. The enemy speaks kindly and holds the knife. This is the classic wide receiver needs to speak like this. Packers got themselves their own version of Stephon Diggs.
They're going
to go 17-0. They're going to go 17-0. That's my prediction. Now, I've got them going 10-7. I do have them making the playoffs just as I do the Lions. Just have them a little bit lower, but that Parsons, I was low on the Packers, but the Parsons edition really, I mean, why don't you just fanboy out for a little bit about the Parsons trade, right?
So
they finally did something.
Victor, believe it or not, I was a little hesitant about the move because I saw Kenny Clark and I immediately thought about how shallow the team felt along the interior defensive line and 2 first-round picks. Victor, that's not nothing. And then I realized that the first-round picks are going to be like number 27 and number 29 in all likelihood, and you throw them away regardless. God, I hope it's 32. And then I realized that we get Micah's fifth-year option. And so instead of being a 4-year, $47 million contract, it's really more like a 5-year, $42 million AAV contract, which is right around what he was expecting to get. And then I texted my cowboy friend from Wisconsin, what do you think about this move? And he texted me back, I hate the world right now. It's like, let's go. We finally did it. Packers finally pulled something off. We're going all in. Maybe not quite all the way there yet, but this is a win now move. And I respect the hell out of that. This is what the team has needed for years.
And it's not just a win now move because Parsons is going to be on the team for a long time, hopefully. He's still 26 and at the top of his game. So this is a team move that also sets you up for a while because realistically, yeah, those 2 first-round picks, what were they going to be? Another 2 Georgia linebackers, right? Who gives a shit? Who gives a shit? Micah Parsons, man. It's Micah Parsons. Kenny Clark, a 30-year-old interior defensive lineman who's declining. Is he good? Yes. Is he that good? No. Doesn't give me any pause. I'd throw in Rashawn Gary if I had to. Probably wouldn't have loved it. I would have done it. Would have done it I would have given them. I'm surprised they didn't just add on Lucas Van Ness for free, right? Why didn't they do that? So they're getting an absolute win here. This is an incredible move for the Packers because you're getting a franchise player for way lower than you should be able to because you're dealing with a dementia patient on the other side of the line. So good for the Pack. Good for you guys, man. This must feel like whenever the Broncos traded for Russell Wilson. We know how that worked out. So hopefully it works out differently.
Hey, I was going to say, look at it from the other side of the phone. Those 2 first-round picks, Victor, they could be anything. They could be Pro Bowlers. They could even be players like Micah Parsons.
Dude, that's crazy. What if you get 2 Micah Parsons? What if you get 2 Micah Parsons? Who was the last Cowboys first-round pick? Mozzie Smith, Tyler Guyton. Those were the last 2. They could have been Micah Parsons.
Absolutely.
Who cares what they are right now? Who cares what they are right now?
All right, and then the last team in the NFC North. Do you have the Vikings number 1?
I do. Yeah, I have them going number 1. Tough one to pick for me, but I did have them going 12-5, just eking out the Packers, and really it is all about schedule with the Vikings. What's really great about them is they get some of their easiest games to start the year, and then they have their tougher games on the back end. And that's just going to help so much because we're talking about the first 5 games. Chicago. You're going to Chicago. You get Atlanta at home, Cincinnati at home. You go to Ireland to play Pittsburgh. You go to the UK to play Cleveland. That's a great start for JJ McCarthy. Other than Pittsburgh, you don't have any good defenses on that list. None. All of those teams are better offensively, and they're still not great teams. So I think they win all 5 of those games. And then, this is just a little thing. I have them beating the Eagles to show you how I am on this Minnesota team because somebody has to beat the Eagles. Why can't it be Minnesota? But yeah, they've got their tougher games later in the season. They got Philly in week 7, Detroit in week 9, Baltimore week 10. That's a tough stretch. And then you have Washington in week 14. And then you got Detroit and Green Bay in week 17 and 18. You get to push back. You don't have any of the divisional games until then either, other than Chicago. This is the best possible situation for JJ McCarthy going into this year. And it's just going to be about JJ McCarthy. This team is. Because the rest of the roster is just incredibly solid. I don't really have any concerns. If I had to pick one, right, you're putting a lot of hope that Jeff Okudah's improved, right? Because he's starting for them. He's slated to start. If he works out, there are really no concerns. I'd love to see this interior defensive line look a little bit better because it's the unction back there. You got a few older guys, but a lot of great players. Do you know how long Jordan Addison's gonna be out for?
3 games? Is the number I've heard?
It's not that long, and he's missing the early easy stretch, so I'm not too worried about that. I think this Minnesota defense is incredibly well. According to the model, this is the second best. They have the second best coaching grade, so this is just an incredibly high floor added to that team based off of Kevin O'Connell. They kept Ryan Flores around for another year. That defense, just a bunch of studs on that side of the ball. Andrew Van Ginkel, Jonathan Grenard, Byron Murphy, Blake Cashman, Josh Metellus. all doing great things. And then they massively improved the interior. This is a fantastic roster. And and I didn't even say Justin Jefferson's name throughout the entire time. The best receiver in football. You also got that. That doesn't hurt. Okay. Incredibly high floor team. It's just JJ McCarthy. Who the fuck knows? Nobody knows. That's why it's so tough to pick this team. I'm going 12-5 because I believe Kevin O'Connell is good enough to make JJ McCarthy at least average. He made Sam Darnold look like the 14th best quarterback in the league. You tell me he can't do that with JJ McCarthy? He can't.
Vegas is really, really concerned about the JJ McCarthy factor. Do you know this team's over-under?
On wins?
Yes.
No, I mean, I guess it's probably like 10.5.
8.5.
What? Jesus Christ.
They are terrified of the JJ McCarthy factor, and neither of us are, because we all remember the dialogues we had about the Vikings last season. Good coaches, good roster, but they're starting Sam Darnold. They can't be any good. I mean, he's going to get benched after the first 6-7 games of the year because they start the season hard last season. This year, they start the season easy. And what happens? Sam Darnold has a comeback player of the year type of season and goes out and gets a bag with the Seahawks. They drafted JJ McCarthy because he is a moldable breed of quarterback. I actually am not super concerned that McCarthy is going to be just fine with Kevin O'Connell and a strong offensive line and what I think should be a really functional receiving game, and Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison and Adam Thielen and TJ Hawkinson. I think he's going to be completely all right. We know what this defense is. They're the same as last year. Brian Flores, I don't think can really be figured out because he's always introducing new wrinkles and varying his tendencies. I was kind of thinking about how whenever a new coaching gimmick is introduced, it doesn't feel like it's long before the rest of the league is on it and knows how to attack it and exploit it. And so that's, I think, a good way to figure out which teams are for real at the beginning of the season. Oh, somebody figured something new out. It's not going to last more than 4 or 5 games. And at first glance, the amoeba defense, I've heard it called, that Brian Flores runs can feel like that. And then you dive into the nitty gritty and you realize it's not. When you've got the right chess pieces like he does, it's just hard as hell to figure out. And it's a high floor, high ceiling type of defense. I think that's what the Vikings are going to be, dominant on the defensive side of the ball and just fine, if not actively great on offense.
Yeah, and we've been talking about them like JJ McCarthy's just going to be kind of dragged along a little bit. He's going to be middle of the road. What if he's just really good? Because he's got maybe one of the best quarterback. He's got one of the best quarterback coaches, one of the best head coaches, just straight out one of the best head coaches in the league, and one of the best coaches when it comes to coaching up quarterbacks. He's had a year to learn under him. He's had a year to learn under Sam Darnold, which, but he's had a year to, this is nice. It's nice to get a year. And now the injury, it doesn't seem like it's something that's going to affect him long-term. He could just come out and set the league on fire. Cause if you remember, he's got all the tools out of college. He just needed time to learn the system, to learn the speed. And he's going to need a couple of weeks to get ramped up, but man, I think he could be really good. I'm not saying he will be, but there is a real chance that he comes out on fire and Minnesota's just talked about as a Super Bowl contender all year. Like week 4 comes around and we're just like, yeah, this team's going to be in the conversation until they get knocked out or they win the whole thing.
People are treating him like he was in a freaking coma last season because he was injured. No, obviously he was absorbing information. He was learning the playbook. You're expecting him to have a softer landing than the average rookie, especially because of the system.
Oh yeah, 100%. So got them going 12-5, winning the division. Unfortunately, I do have them winning against the Bears. I don't know why I said unfortunately. I do have them winning against the Bears in week 1. Nice start for JJ McCarthy against that defense.
I've got him at 11-6, winning the division. Fuck the Bears. I am beating the Bears in week 1.
So did they have the same record as the Packers?
Yes.
Interesting. What was the tiebreaker?
Vibes.
All right.
Well, okay. It wasn't actually vibes. I didn't put it into a tiebreaker computer, but my system, how it works is teams do end up with fractional wins. And so they had a slightly higher win total than the Packers did, even if they were both in that 11-6 range.
I see. All right. That is the NFC North then. What are we off to next?
AFC South?
Oh boy. Let's do it.
So my number 4 team, and honestly, I think there are probably 3 of these 4 teams that could realistically be the worst in the division. I'm gonna go with the Titans. I'm gonna go with the team with a rookie quarterback, but I think I still have higher expectations for the Titans than a lot of people do, namely because I think the offensive line is gonna be fine. I think they're gonna be able to run the football. I was not all the way in on Cam Ward, and there's a chance that his tape as a rookie could get pretty ugly, but I think there's reason to be optimistic as well. One of my favorite things about his college tape was his anticipation. Even if he was a really aggressive processor sometimes, a la Jordan Love, you don't have to worry about him taking a bunch of sacks and just shutting your offense down, for instance. I don't think the group of playmakers is quite as bad as some people have made it out to be. And last year, it kind of felt like the defensive line, particularly anchored by rookie Tavondre Sweat, was turning into a major strength. If that can become their identity, I think they can become a really tough out against most teams in the league. They also get L'Jarius Sneed back, which is nice.
Yeah, I don't know. I kind of just disagree a little bit. I don't disagree. I think they're better than some people give them credit for. I also do think that they're going to go 3-14, and the model has them.
Holy wow!
Yeah, listen, I have them going 3-14, and the model has them graded as the worst team in the league. So it's just tough. Part of it is that I don't believe in Brian Callahan. But that's just part of it. Let me read you who Cam Ward plays to start his NFL career. He has to go to Denver
Rough.
to start his career. Then he has to play Los Angeles, the Rams.
Rough.
Yeah. Then Colts come to town.
Okay, I'm fine with that.
You're fine with facing DeForest Buckner, Kwity Paye, Latu, Grover Stewart?
Yes.
Okay, you're a psycho. Then you got to go to Houston. It's not an easy first 4 weeks. It's not an easy first 4 weeks for this guy. And I do think the weapons it's as bad as people say. Calvin Ridley, who cares, dude? He's an okay NFL receiver. The only reason he's gotten yards the past few years, he's the only guy to throw to. And he's still the only guy to throw to. Got the corpse of Tyler Lockett, and it's just he's not going to be very good this year. I still think he's got some juice left in him. It's just I don't think Tennessee's going to be the one to bring that out. Van Jefferson and a couple of rookies. I did like Amenor, but who knows if he'll have an impact year one. You've got nice running backs. You've got a decent offensive line. You've got a nice defensive line that'll keep you in it. The linebacker room's not good. You've got mostly useless edge rushers. A really unreliable secondary. There are nice pieces. I like Brownlee. I like McCreary, but can we rely on them to consistently lock up guys? We're going up against Nico Collins, Jaden Higgins, Jalen Noel. Can we rely on them to really do that? Plus, they've got a really tough schedule. It just all conspires for me with a rookie quarterback and a head coach that did not do much to inspire confidence last year. It's just somebody has to lose games, and I think it's going to be the Titans.
My X factor for them is Alec Iomanner, who I thought coming out was probably at that level of a 1 of 3 starting NFL receiver in the right role, and then he fell because of injury concerns. He's got to beat out Van Jefferson. If he doesn't beat out Van Jefferson and work his way into the field quickly, I'm kind of going to be eating my words on this prediction, because if that's who Cam Ward is throwing to, maybe we're in trouble. But if he can find a way onto the field and show that he can be a starting NFL receiver, I think that can loosen things up a little bit, the receiving game. And then also, if you have to respect the receiving game, it's going to make the run game that much better. So I think that that's part of where a difference comes in. I do want to ask you, do you do like probability of wins, or is it binary for you? Is it win, no win?
It is binary. So that's part of it. If it was probability of wins, they've got a lot of close games on the schedule where it's just tough to give them. But that means you just got a lot of good teams on the schedule. You have to play the entirety of the AFC West. You have to play the entirety of the NFC West. Those are both 2 really good divisions, Plus, now they do also get to play the AFC South 6 times. That's nice, right? That doesn't hurt.
That helps.
But yeah, it's just a tough schedule overall. And then they also have to play I feel like they have to play one more AFC division. Am I wrong on that? You have to play 2 AFC divisions? Or just one?
They get the AFC West.
Yeah, but you have to play another one. Unless I'm wrong. I might be wrong.
Do they play the AFC North? They got the Browns.
No, I think
Do they
I'm
just
wrong.
play
Maybe
the
they just play
Browns?
one. Yeah, they just play the Browns and they just play the Patriots. So, but they've got a lot of tough games. Maybe I'm being a little low on them, but it seems like they're okay. But then you look at every other NFL team and you're like, the NFL's never been more talented. So it's tough to look at a team like the Titans and say this is a 3-14 team when like 5 years ago, maybe it was 7-10. But the NFL is just a lot more talented than it was even 5 years ago. They're just getting better. Teams are better. And we're going to talk about a lot of teams who are just going to lose a lot of games this year who probably have really good players on there. It's just the other team has better players. That's just part of it.
So sometimes I hate the parody on this show between us because guess how many games I have them favored in?
How many?
3.
Which are the games?
They are at the Raiders. I'm low on the Raiders. We'll get into
I
that.
have them
At the
losing every game.
Browns. The Browns should just lose every game this season. And versus the Saints. The end of season Saints when their entire roster is going to be hurt.
So that's really funny because I think I have them losing all of those games. No, wait, I have them beating the Saints. I have them beating the Saints.
I was going to ask where the wins are coming from in that situation.
Yeah, that it's also tough. They beat the Colts, the Patriots, and the Saints.
Okay. I think all those games are winnable.
Yeah.
I think I have yellow grades for in that toss-up region, even if I still have a favorite on all of those games. So I get that.
All right, who's your
All
3?
right. And so you mentioned, well, we still have to pick them.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Even though
Well,
you pretty much implied
This shouldn't take long.
on the road against Denver. Who you
Good
got?
fucking luck.
Yeah.
Well, so yeah, I mean, I've got the Cam Ward. He's a rookie quarterback going up against Vance Joseph, Nick Benito, Zach Gallen, John Franklin Myers, DJ Jones, Jonathan Cooper, Jonah Ellis. I mean, there's just no chance. And that receiver room going against Patrick Surtain and Riley Moss and Jahdae Barron. Again, good luck. And if Bo Nix isn't going to get pressured by Arden Key and Draymond Jones as the edge rushers, he's going to go for like 404. That is one of the most assured picks of week 1 for me. We could come back in a couple weeks and I'll eat my words. If we do, it's going to be a really bad season for the Broncos if they lose this game. So we're just going to hope that they win by a lot.
In terms of power rankings, I don't even know if the Broncos are top 3 in terms of opponents the Titans face. In terms of matchup, see you later. Yeah,
Broncos at week 1. It's week 1. That's just such a difficult draw. Maybe they do. Never mind.
All right, so the next team I have in the AFC South, it's actually a tie between the Colts and the Jags, but I have the Colts a little bit lower in my fractional win share totals. I have them sitting at 8 and 9. You optimistic for this team?
I don't think they're going to be as bad as some people say because, again, this is a really good roster. I feel like people they look at the quarterback and they're like, okay, 4-13.
Daniel Jones.
I get it. It's
no
bad.
wins
Daniel
there.
Jones should not be playing, but they have a competent roster. This is a really nice roster. I mean, you really don't have many weaknesses on this team as a whole. There's just you're really pretty good at every position. That's why I'm like, I think they're just not going to beat themselves a lot other than Daniel Jones. It's just going to be the rest of this team versus Daniel Jones. So I think this team wins 7 times. I think Daniel Jones wins 10 times. They go 7-10.
I completely agree with that philosophy. People see Daniel Jones and think they're going to absolutely suck. Daniel Jones behind a bad offensive line with literally only one NFL caliber pass catcher is going to really suck. I think that Daniel Jones behind a really solid offensive line with a Jonathan Taylor-led run game and a really clear-cut receiving room and a offensive coordinator in Shane Steichen, I know he's the head coach, but calling plays there, who's going to be able to tap into his mobility, which is underrated a little bit. I think it can be fine. I think it can be a fine offense. I think they're going to be a fine team. They were feisty last year. I think they're going to be feisty this year. I just really question where the upside with the Colts is. I mean, anytime you're starting Daniel Jones, let's be realistic, you're probably not getting very far. And then on defense, who is their X factor? Who is wrecking games for them? Who is doing damage for them? They'll be all right. I don't think they'll make the playoffs, though.
I think on defense, Latu has to step up. He had a good first year. Can you make that jump your second year? that'll be big for them. And yeah, like you said, Daniel Jones had his only good year that got him paid like $40 million when he had a good offensive line. Andrew Thomas, that was Andrew Thomas's best year, his breakout year where he was one of the best 5 tackles in football. They had a nice interior offensive line where a couple of guys left and a couple of guys got hurt the next year. So Indy's got a great offensive line. Some of the names may not be familiar to a lot of people because they'll be new starters, but Bortolini and Gonsalves are going to be new starters, center and right guard. But they played last year in spurts when Kelly and Braden Smith got hurt, and they both look really good. So I totally believe they're going to fit in just fine. Indy has no problem producing NFL interior offensive linemen. So um, this is a great situation for Daniel Jones. That's why I do think that they're not going to lose more than they're not going to lose a bunch of games. They're just not going to win a bunch of games.
They have in week one of the matchups I'm for some reason more fascinated by than others. They stay at home against the Dolphins, early season Dolphins. I'm not so sure. I think I'm going to pick Miami.
So this is our first disagreement. I'm going to take Indianapolis at home. I'm not the biggest Miami believer. We'll get to that.
Neither am I. We'll get to that. It gets bad in December, believe it or not.
Yep. All right.
Jaguars.
Yep.
So I have them tied with the Colts. This is the other team, along with the Chicago Bears, where I don't want to say I have no idea, but I feel like I kind of have no idea. And some of that is the first year play caller effect with Liam Cohen. Big expectations. He's going to unlock Trevor Lawrence. All right, we'll see. Part of that is the Travis Hunter effect, where not only is this a really high draft pick and a special player that you're expecting to make a big impact, he's literally going to play both sides of the ball. So, I mean, God knows how that's going to go. And then there's actually a lot of ambiguity in the backfield where I feel like that's not something we say about many teams, that the running back position could either be a major strength or a major weakness. I don't know. If it's ETN and Bigsby and Bishal Tootin fumbling a bunch and not picking the right hole, we're going to be in trouble. But if Liam Cohen can tap into that explosive backfield and generate a bunch of big plays, that could really open up the pass game in a big way.
Oh, yeah, 100%. Bishal Tootin, some similarities to Bucky Irving coming out of college. You could say that. I might not.
Bucky Irving makes guys miss.
Exactly. So that's the big dissimilarity. I'm just saying because they both fumbled a bit, and they're both kind of small. But yeah, Bucky Irving did make guys miss. And he did that in the NFL. And I don't know if Bishal Tootin's going to be able to do that. But I've been a big Tanks Bigsby fan for a while, so I'm excited to see him unlocked in Liam Cohen's offense. I don't think Trevor Lawrence needs to be unlocked. I think he's a good fucking quarterback. That's my take. It's my NFL take that I've had for a while, that he had a really good year 2 years ago. Was it 2 years ago?
I believe so, yeah.
It was a really good year, under the only year where he's had good coaching, health, and decentness in both the receiving room and the offensive line room. They've got that again, theoretically. If Cohen is a good coach, which they hope he is, they've got the best offensive line they've had since that team. And that season from Lawrence, it wasn't just like a Daniel Jones season, right? It was one where he was making the plays. He was making the reads. He was looking really confident. He was unlocking that arm, making the throws, and looking like a top 12 quarterback in the league through and through. So I don't think he needs all of the help that like Daniel Jones will need to look competent. I just think he needs some. He needs a competent situation, which he has just lacked every year of his career, except for that year, because last year was so bad with Peterson. And then I don't know what happened to him. It was just a rough year for Peterson. Everything went down the drain. The culture was in the shit, and they just could not buy a win. They had a couple of close losses. Then the new staff comes in. It was terrible. Lawrence, get him some consistency, and I think he will do well this year. That's why I'm a little bit more bullish on the Jags. I do have them going 8-9, missing the playoffs because there are a lot of questions, and this roster still isn't elite. But they've made some improvements, got some guys coming back. Tyson Campbell we'll hope he'll be healthy the entire year. A lot of promising guys in the interior defensive line last year. Mason Smith had a great start to the year before he got hurt. And if Travis Hunter's as advertised, which I think he is, you get Travis Hunter and Brian Thomas in that receiver room. That's dynamic. All right. So I think Jacksonville, they could make the playoffs. They could be really good. They could be bad. If Cohen can't get it figured out as first-time head coach, if Lawrence is again, inconsistent and can't seem to figure it out, then I'll chill on the Trevor Lawrence take. This is the last year that I'll really defend him as a good NFL quarterback, because I think the last couple of years haven't been great. I don't think they've been as bad as some people say, but I'm giving you one more year, Trevor. I think you're a good player. This is the time to show us.
I don't think that Travis Hunter is an X factor on the offensive side of the ball because they don't really need him there. I mean, you got Brian Thomas Jr., who was a Pro Bowl caliber receiver as a rookie with Mac. De'Ami Brown was all right last season. I think you're okay in offense without him.
Yeah.
Parker Washington, Tim Patrick, that's not a terrible receiver.
Oh, yeah, you're right. It's solid.
With that.
But
where you really need him, you need him as a defensive back, because if you just take him out of the equation and maybe he has some growing pains that you picked up from the college tape, where I think we both by the end of the year agreed that his receiver tape was better than his defensive back tape. If you can't count on him early, you're counting on Jerry Jones and Andrew Wingard and Eric Murray to be your defensive backs. It was a rough room last year. It was a problem. I remember them being the one defense that Caleb Williams and the Bears were just able to beat the shit out of when we were expecting the Bears to take that big step forward. We all said, it's finally here. Turns out it was just the Jags defensive back room being the Jags defensive back room. They cannot have that happen again. I think they need an instant impact from Travis Hunter. If they're going to be a good team, I think they can be an okay team with a bad defense, but you want to take that next step up, need a better secondary.
See, I think that's where we differ a little bit. I like the corner room. I hate the safety room. Travis Hunter doesn't play safety, though. So I don't think they need him in the corner room. Jerry Jones is a fucking stud. I know he started slow last year. He was a rookie. He started slow. It happens. Guess what he did during the last half of the season? You want to know why the secondary got a little bit better after Tyson Campbell came back? It was because they got Tyson Campbell back. But Jerry Jones, when he switched to number 2 corner, was going absolutely fucking insane. He was getting better. He still got some issues, but I love Jerry Jones. I think he's going to put on a clinic this year. And you brought in Jordan Lewis from Dallas to play the nickel. Very consistent guy, good, a solid coverage defender. So I'm not really worried about this corner room. I think Hunter slots in more. I think I want to play more snaps as a receiver. Get Lawrence those options. Get guys who get open. I think it's more important he plays there early, and I think that's where he'll play more. So I'm not as worried about this corner room. I don't only have them winning one more game than you do, but I think they could win a lot more. And you've got a great linebacker room. That's a rare thing in the NFL right now.
That's true. Really underrated linebacker room. Going to help with the run defense, which I think their edge rushers can get after the QB. Trayvon Walker also came on as a run defender last year.
Yep.
It really does help to have that floor in the front seven. Didn't you say we had them at 8 and 9 though?
I did.
So do I.
I thought you had them at 7 and 10. Oh yeah, you have the Colts at 8, 9 too. Yeah. All right, so we agree, but just kind of differently. All right. Who are they playing?
And finally, who do they play?
They play Carolina week 1. So battle of the former number 1 picks who need to prove themselves this year. Mm-hmm. I've got Jacksonville. It's at home. Carolina. It's just Trevor's getting an easy start. Liam Cohen's getting an easy start. That defense is just bad. There's no two ways about it. Brian Thomas and Travis Hunter are going to have a field day.
That's what does it for me, too. As much as I want to like the Panthers, as excited as I am for Bryce Young, I think they're going to get whatever they want against that Carolina defense.
Yeah. I think Carolina's defense may come along, but that first few weeks is going to be bad. Like, it's going to be a disaster, them learning how to play together for the first time. When you've got a roster, a defense with not as much like talent, you need to be able to play together, because a big part of defense is, it's being able to pass coverages off to each other, being able to make the checks, being able to recognize offensive transit, communicate really well. Big part of offense. We talk about that all the time with the offensive line and quarterbacks. We don't talk about that as much with defense, and it is such a big deal. And that's why I think Carolina struggles early on. But they've got Ejiro Evero back there, great defensive coordinator, going to get some head coach looks this year. They'll get better, but week 1, give me Jacksonville.
And then finally, rounding out the AFC South, I have the Texans at 10 and 7, winning the division. Can the offensive line hold up, though?
I've got them at 9 and 8. I don't think they can. I don't think they will. I don't think they can. This is a horrible offensive line, which sucks because the rest of the team is awesome. We've talked about a few teams where it's like, yeah, this is a great roster. It's just the quarterback's a big unknown. This is a great roster, except the offensive line's a big unknown. Though, is it an unknown really? I'm pretty confident that we know that this
It's a
line's going to
known
suck.
bad.
Yeah, it's going to be bad. So how good can you be with a horrible offensive line, but an otherwise really great roster? Well, we're going to find out. Watch some Houston Texans this year.
This defense could genuinely be a top 1 or 2 unit in the entire NFL.
So good.
They check so many boxes. They've consistently been a well-coached run defense, even last year when it felt like they were really getting down to bare bones as far as defensive tackles, racking up injuries. It didn't really matter for the Texans. And the edge room is the edge room. You have Will Anderson, who is still getting better, and you have Danielle Hunter, who I think was second in the NFL in pressures last year. He was definitely top 5 because I think Grenard was tops in pressures. You have a secondary that's only getting better. Kalen Bullock, if he busts a few less coverages, he's going to be a top 10 safety in the NFL this year, no question. I mean, you can make an argument that he was last year. Derek Stingley truly had a breakout season, maybe the best ball skills of any cornerback in the NFL, at least last year he did in terms of forcing incompletions and reeling in picks. There is so much reason to be excited about the Texans defense. Like I said, an extremely well-coached unit. You've got C.J. Stroud. You've got Nico Collins. Joe Mixon is going to be coming back pretty soon. How much time is he supposed to miss?
I think they don't really know. That's what concerns me a little bit, but they're not going to be able to run the ball anyway. Who cares?
Because the line sucks that bad.
Yeah.
And I just hate how foreseeable this was because they didn't address it heavily enough in free agency. They made a deal with them, giving away Laramie Tunsil. We knew what was coming, and I think they're going to get what's coming.
Yeah, so we've got a horrible offensive line, right? Franchise quarterback, great roster. We've got a bad offensive line. We want to win games this year. I guess we got to trade our only good offensive lineman for I honestly forgot who they got for him or what they got. Was it like a second-round pick?
What did they get for him?
I think it was like a second-round pick.
Look this up. That was so long
ago. In a bag
ago.
Of chips or something. I think it was like that.
It was a package of draft picks, including a 2025 3rd and 7th and a 2026 2nd and 4th, and they sent back a 4th rounder. Nice.
Whatever, dude. Like, why? I don't really get it, but sure, let's trade away our only good offensive lineman. It's just, this is a really good team, and it just really hurts because I don't know if you're going to have this good of a team next year, you know? So we'll see. They've got Petrie back on the defense. He was in and out of the lineup last year with a lingering issue, so hopefully that's all fixed up. He's a really talented player whenever he's healthy. Just another dog in that secondary.
All right, who do they play week 1?
Let's see. So, yeah, they have
Rams.
Yeah, they've got Los Angeles. I'm going to go LA. At home, SoFi, week 1. Fucking. That offensive line's first game is against Jared Verse, Kobe Turner, Puna Ford, Byron Young, Braden Fisk. I can go on. Good luck. Give me the Rams.
Early season Rams, healthy Stafford. It feels like the questions build up for the Rams as the season goes on, and oftentimes they play their best ball when everyone is healthy. Combine that with the fact that it's a road game for the Texans, I'm going to agree.
Yeah, and Derek Stingley can't cover 2 people at one time. He can't cover Puka Nacua and Devontae Adams at the same time. Kamari Lassiter is good. I don't think he'll be able to keep up with either of those guys.
Have you had Derek Stingley try covering both guys at once?
I haven't. Maybe they'll have him try that. We'll see. Could be an ingenious play.
Is that cover 2 or is that cover 1/2?
I think it's just playing the deep safety. Double outside corner blitz. With Derek Stingley playing the 1 high.
Excellent.
Yeah.
I don't see why we're not defensive coordinators.
Exactly.
All right, NFC South. Let's kick it off with the Saints. They're going to be ass. There's nothing to like about this team. The one thing to like about this team is that they finally did it. They bit the bullet. They're going to suck. They're going to be out of cap hell, eating your vegetables. Wow, they're going to be rough, though. I mean, Spencer Rattler and maybe Tyler Shuck later in the year. Come on. The only addition they made is Eric Reed, right? Or the
Justin Reed and Julian Blackman. But I guess so. But it was like they paid Justin Reed just an absurd amount of money. I was
It
like,
wasn't
why?
absurd. It was a little too much.
It was okay, yeah, and a little too much. It was just weird. But okay. I don't think the Saints team is as bad as people are saying that they are. I think they're better than the Titans.
I
I think
disagree.
they're I think they're how? They've got a better offensive line. Look at it.
Maybe if they can stay healthy, I'm willing to accept Fuanga is going to be good. Banks is a rookie at guard.
He's
I
playing
don't
tackle.
know. I
He's
like
playing
Blake
tackle.
Cushenberry a lot. Well, okay. Freudian
And he's looked
slip. We'll
good.
see if he's better at guard.
He's looked good in preseason. And you got my absolute boy, a dog, Eric McCoy, back in the lineup.
Is he going to stay there?
Hopefully. I'm not gonna we're putting the good energy out there. He's gonna be healthy all season.
Fair enough.
Better edge rushers, Carl Granderson, an underrated edge rusher. Chase Young, he's fine, right? Probably not what you wanted out of the number 2 pick, but he's still okay. Corner room sucks. It's still a bad team. I'm not going to argue that it's a good team, but I think it's better than Tennessee, and I don't think it's close either. I mean, it's close. I don't think it's that close. I do have them going 3-14.
I will say, for as much as you hate to project injuries in the preseason, if you can do it for any team outside of maybe the Dolphins with Tua,
Yeah, I was going to say.
I think it's going to be this one. Like, if they lose Chris Olave, they fall off a cliff. We saw what this team was last year when they were hobbled by injuries, and it was borderline unwatchable.
Well, but Brandon Cooks is back. You can only assume he'll return to form.
Yes, like 2021 form. That's
Exactly.
the assumption I'm going to make.
But this line is good. They are starting Spencer Rattler. So that's the season right there. Why would you take a 25-year-old quarterback in the second round of the NFL draft if you're not going to play him? I don't really get that. So either you're just admitting it was a swing and a miss, or this is just horrible, horrible process from the Saints. It's probably a little bit of both because the Saints are idiots. This is going to be a bad team. Maybe they surprise some people. Maybe they don't suck as much. Maybe they're not getting blown out by like 30. Maybe they only lose by like 17.
How much you think they lose by against the Cardinals at home, week 1?
14, maybe 10, 14 points.
That sounds about right.
Comfortable like Cardinals win. Yeah, comfortable Cardinals win.
Agreed. All right, and then my third team in the NFC South, I have another tie. Falcons and Panthers. Panthers are my number 3 because I think they have a couple more unknowns. I am so rooting for Bryce Young this season. And I think it could be the year of Bryce because the Panthers continually have an underrated offensive line. I think adding Teteroa McMillan into that receiving room is going to do you a lot of good. I didn't hate Xavier Legette's rookie season as much as some people understandably did because did he have some really poorly timed drops? Sure. What if he phases that out? I think you're looking at a starting caliber receiver for sure, maybe a guy who can ascend to wide receiver 2 status. I know he's an older prospect. You want him to come along sooner rather than later, but it's not like I'm going to write him off. We know what the run game with Chuba Hubbard is. It's really solid. The problem is the defense is going to be ass, and they're going to have to win shootouts. And I don't know if they have the horses to win shootouts consistently. Nonetheless, it's just all the best for Bryce. He was hot at the end of last season, and I think he probably sustains that.
Yeah, I agree. You don't think they can win shootouts consistently. I get it. What if I remind you they were 2 plays away from beating both of the teams that played in the Super Bowl last year? An Xavier Legette drop and a 4th and 5 from the Chiefs, and the Panthers would have beaten both the Chiefs and the Eagles last year. Bryce is that fucking guy. I'm gonna say it. I'm predicting him to be that guy this year. That's why I have them going 8-9, missing the playoffs. But this is like if the Bengals were worse, but had a good offensive line. This is like Joe Burrow was 5'10" and still learning how to this is like if Joe Burrow was 5'10". That's what Bryce Young is. You heard it here first. He's not. But if they had a good run game and a good offensive line, this is what it'd look like. Also, yeah, yes, I am comparing Teteroa McMillan to Jamar Chase. Get over it. And Xavier Legette Sheegans. It's not a 1-to-1 comp.
The big issue with the Panthers is, obviously they don't have the horses on defense. In order to create pressure, you're counting on Princely Umanmielen, who went in the 3rd round, correct?
Yes.
And then Nick Scorton, who went in the very early second round as more of a developmental type of pass rusher.
But
That's got to be the worst edge room in the league.
He's looked dynamite in the preseason, which again, don't put much stock into, but the reports out of camp have been great. And I heard so much about him that I went and watched the tape of preseason. Holy shit, was he putting the moves on these guys? He was putting the moves on the first team of the Browns offense, the first team Browns offense, like legitimately. If he's good, that really, because you're getting Derek Brown back this year. People forget about that. He was out all last year. He's one of the best defensive players in all of football. Derek Brown is probably a top 10 interior defensive lineman in the league. Getting him back, got J.C. Horn back there. The linebacker room sucks. You did bring in Bobby Brown and Tershawn Wharton, both solid additions. It'll be better than last year on both offense and defense. I think they go 8-9.
So that's yet another agreement.
What did you have them going?
8-9.
Oh boy.
Also, agreement is not a thing. Oh my God, it's agreement. The word is agreement,
Yeah.
Elson. What are we talking about
Come
here?
on, Elson.
Go on the podcast and my IQ just drops by about 80.
Don't worry.
All right, the Falcons. I've got the Falcons going 8-9, and this is going to be a fun offense to watch because I think they're going to have a really potent wide zone attack with Bijan Robinson, who I'm on record of saying is the most skilled running back in the NFL. This might be his best season yet. And Michael Penix, it's hard to know exactly what you're going to get, but you're going to get explosives from him. He's going to push the ball downfield, and he's going to throw a good deep ball. He might spray throws over the intermediate part of the field and not be the best player in the quick game yet, but I think this has a certain floor offensively, a little bit like the Colts last year with Anthony Richardson, where on the low end it might not be pretty, but you're going to be fine. You're going to generate some scoring drives just by virtue of having 30, 40, 50, et cetera yard chunks, and the ceiling is there as well. The question is, can the rookie edge rushers they drafted get consistent pressure? And my money would be on no, but we'll have to see. They're going to rely on a lot of rookie contributions on the defensive side.
Yeah, I've got them going 7-10. It's Penix, who knows, man. Their highs, like you said, the highs were high, but the lows were low. And the one thing that really, I was kind of getting up there with the Falcons, but then Caleb McGarry, he's out for the season. So now you got a massive question at right tackle. Yeah, so that really, obviously, it's not like Caleb McGarry is this world killer as a tackle, but he's a really solid starting right tackle. Without that, it's going to be a little bit tougher to run the ball with Bijan Robinson to the right side. It's going to be a little bit tougher for Michael Penix to stay clean in the pocket because they're starting Elijah Wilkinson. I'm a Broncos fan. I've seen Elijah Wilkinson play. He's not a guy you want starting. Solid depth piece, not a guy you want starting. That just kind of brought me down a little bit, kind of tempered my expectations, but you've still got one of the most talented players in football, Bijan Robinson. Drake London's a stud. You still got Chris Lindstrom, Matthew Bergeron as your guards, Jake Matthews is the left tackle. Got a nice team. Questions on the defense. The cornerback room is, linebacker rooms, right? And the defensive line, as always, Atlanta. Can we get something out of the defensive line? Maybe we can. We like Jalen Walker coming out this year, so we'll just have to see a team that I am struggling to project because of how much variance is at the quarterback position, but also how much unknown is on the defensive line.
How good do you think Xavier Watts is starting at free safety in year one?
I think he'll be good enough. This is a guy, unreal coverage player coming out. The only reason he fell to the third round was tackling issues, and that's just something you're going to have to live with. I think they know that, but as a coverage player, I think he'll be fine.
All right, so the only thing we have left to do is pick their game against the Buccaneers, but we only got one team left in the NFC South. Why don't we just talk about the Buccaneers? Victor, are the Buccaneers the best team in the NFL? Because I think they might be.
I don't know, man. I've got them going 13-4. So
hell yeah.
Count me in on the Buccaneers train because Jesus Christ, this team is good. And there's good, and then there's good. The Buccaneers are good in every facet of the word. They have no weaknesses. Edge is a question. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm saying it's a question. Hassan Reddick hasn't played well the past couple of years because he's a guy that really doesn't play unless he's got something to play for. He hasn't had something to play for the last couple of years. It's going to be a team that wins a lot of games. You're going to get the best version of Hassan Reddick. Who knows what that is right now? I think you're going to get that. And then they've got your guy, Yaya Diaby, on the other side of the edge ball, on the other side of the ball. He looked real good last year. Can he take that more step forward? Can he take that step forward? Help Hassan Reddick? If he can, if Yaya Diaby takes a step forward, this team's going to be good. Look at that corner room. Just go look. Their cornerback 5 is Jacob Parrish.
That's offensive. He's going to be their CB3 by the end of the year.
Oh, no, he's their nickel. Never mind. Their cornerback 5 is Benjamin Morrison or Christian Etzian. Both of those guys start on most teams. Got Antoine Winfield back as well. He was out for a lot of last year. He's the best safety in football. That'll surely help. And you still got Vita Vea up front. You still got Levante David as your linebacker. Kalijah Kancey. Tristan Wirfs will be out the first 4 weeks or so. I think you're okay with that. I think you are because you got Atlanta. You got, you got Atlanta. Then you got Houston. That'll be a tough game. Then you got New York. That's your first 3 games. Doable. And then you got Philadelphia. Hopefully, I think they're probably aiming for him to get back for Philadelphia. Godwin and Evans, you're just going to have to, really the issue with this team is health. If this team can stay healthy, they can beat anybody. If players start dropping like flies, it'll be a similar situation to last year. It's just going to come down to health with this team. Can they stay healthy? Because if they do, the sky's the limit. Because there aren't many teams, if any, that have the talent that Tampa Bay does.
I don't think most fans, casual fans, have caught up to the fact that Tampa Bay has become one of the best offensive lines in the NFL. And the best part is they're only getting better. I mean, is Luke Gedeke going to regress? No. Is Cody Mock going to regress? No, he's going to get better. Is Graham Martin going to regress? No, he's probably going to take a big jump in year 2.
Looked a lot better last half. Last year.
Then you put Bucky Irving behind that. Rashad White is a receiving back. Hell, even Sean Tucker was pretty electric at times last season. A deep receiving room once they get Egbuka back. This could be a fireworks type of offense. If there's one thing you're concerned about besides, maybe a little bit of high-end pressure generation once you get to the playoffs, it's, to me, how streaky Baker can be at times.
Yeah.
You want him to be hot at the end of the year. I remember there were certain really frustrating games last season where it's like, you're playing the Raiders. Just close this one out, for God's sakes. Why have you scored 13 points by the third quarter? Then they'd get a touchdown in garbage time, and it would look a little bit better. If Baker Mayfield in year two, right, with the Buccaneers?
Year 3.
Or is year 3? In year 3, you're right, yeah. Can be a little bit more consistent. Truly, the sky is the limit for this Bucs team. Super Bowl upside.
Yep, and they do have to replace Liam Cohen as offensive coordinator. So that'll be tough. Who's the man for the job?
I should really know that because Baker's had a different OC every single year of his career, which is
Josh Grizzard.
Freaking wild.
And we've heard good things about him. So hopefully he'll be able to do it well. If he's not up to snuff, then we could have another issue. There are some concerns with this team, but eventually talent does win out. And when you got a guy like Baker, the one thing you know with him is he's going to get it going. He is always going to give 910%. So there's no issues there as well, right? When you've got a bunch of talented players, sometimes you just need someone to get them riled up. And a quarterback going out there and trucking a dude without his helmet on, that'll get him riled up. So you've always got that aspect of Baker Mayfield's game. And like you said, when he's on, he's on. We saw last year, Buccaneers went into SoFi and fucking killed the Chargers 40-17. Baker was slinging it. I think he went like 330 and 5. He was just dropping it in the bucket of receivers between 2 safeties, outstretched hands for like a 40-yard touchdown. He was so good. And that happened multiple times last year. I just pointed that one out because the Chargers were really good last year. They had one of the better defenses and one of the more consistent defenses and well-coached defenses, and Baker picked them apart. And that was without Chris Godwin, who is hopefully going to be back this year. Again, health is a concern for this team. So it's going to come down to Baker and to health and to this OC. That's a lot of unanswered questions. But with Tampa Bay, a team that consistently shows you we fight through tough periods and we can beat bad teams. I think that they will get the job done. That's why I got them going 13-4. They're not going to get blown out this year.
I think I already know the answer, but Bucks Falcons, who you got?
I got the Bucks. And by the way, in case you missed it, I have the Panthers beating. We had the Panthers losing to the Jags as well. I forgot to mention that, but we'd mention them when we had the Jags as well. But yeah, I got the Bucks beating the Falcons. You got a couple of rookie edge rushers. You're not getting much pressure week 1 on Baker Mayfield.
All right, we've officially reached the halfway point in the show, and it's only taken an hour and 47 minutes of recording time. So we'll hustle a little bit, but not too much. I mean, come on, it's Friday night. Do we seriously have anything better to do than this?
No, I never have anything better than this. Class, get the fuck out of here. I'd rather be in the studio.
Basically dropped a class because of BTS. Like, that's not actually the reason I dropped my entrepreneurship class. I feel like it could be more valuable to me at a later time when it would make more sense for me to actually enter the hurricane pitch competition. But just saying, frees up about a 3.5-hour lunch break on Fridays. All I've got is Spanish from 11 to 12. Yep. Friday's looking pretty light. Time to put extra work in there.
Get those predictions in. I'm excited.
Absolutely.
All right, halfway through. Where are we going?
AFC East. Going to start things off with the Jets. Do you concur with that? They're your worst team in the AFC East?
No.
Okay, do you like the Jets, or do you just think the Patriots or Dolphins are worse?
I don't like the Jets, and I think the Dolphins are worse.
Fair enough. I'm not super high on the Dolphins either. What I want to say about the Jets is I think their offense is maybe going to be even more rough than people give them credit for. Is Garrett Wilson going to get absolutely fucking peppered in targets because he's the only guy Justin Fields is going to be looking at? Yes. So he's going to have a 1,400-yard plus season. It's going to be all right. They're going to try and run the ball behind an offensive line. I think it's going to be okay. But when your number 2 receiving options are as rough as they are for the Jets, and I was low on Armand Membu, they play some very good pass rushes this year. I think that could get dicey pretty quickly. Breece Hall had a down season last year. I don't know if he's getting up there in age quite yet, but he's definitely starting to rack up a high workload and a bit of an injury history. I'm kind of bullish on Breece Hall. The Jets are going to be tough. I think that they're going to bring it for the whole season more so than most bad teams can. I think that with the coaching move they've made, that's the effect you're going to get out of that. But how many wins is that going to produce? I mean, for me, the answer was 6, and you could argue lower.
Yeah, answer is 6 for me too. I have them going 6-11. I love Aaron Glenn. I think he's going to be a good head coach. I think without him, it would probably be a lot less wins. This is reflective of I just don't think Justin Fields is a starting NFL quarterback. He can do it in spot situations, but for an entire season, it's just going to get bad really quickly because Fields is a guy. I mean, just last year with Pittsburgh, they went like 4-2 to start the year. Team looked good. They benched him for Russell Wilson the second they could because, yeah, the team was winning games. It wasn't because of Justin Fields. He could barely make a read. He could barely go through the progressions on just like a simple stick concept, and he'd just be lost. Finding stuff in open space, just seeing the stuff. He was always a second late. It's just really frustrating. And then when he did throw the ball, consistently inaccurate, always on the wrong shoulder, it seemed, just not putting his receivers in the best position. He threw a couple of hospital balls that really just should have been easy run after catch numbers. Just should have been easy. It makes the easy things hard. The legs are a great attribute, and this is a guy who you love in the locker room. There's no doubt about that. Fields is a great dude, and I really wish it worked out with him. Maybe it will. Maybe he'll for once in NFL's history, a quarterback will go to the Jets and get better. But I'm not going to bet on that because that'd be like betting that, I don't know, aliens appeared tomorrow. Could it happen? Yeah. Is it likely? No. The Jets making a quarterback better is just unlikely. But Aaron Glenn, if anybody's going to do it, I think Aaron Glenn could be the man for the job. I also like that he ceded defensive play calling to Steve Wilks. Very good defensive coordinator. Not the best head coach, but a good defensive coordinator. So he can focus on managing the team so they don't get into a bad spiral like they did last year. That gives them a solid floor. And I think 6-11, 5-12 is about their floor. I just don't think that's where they end up.
There is still upside on the defense. People were bagging on Sauce Gardner last season in what was a tremendous down year for Sauce. he was still good. I still
Yeah.
thought he was borderline Pro Bowl caliber. He got burnt at the wrong time a couple of times. He missed a lot of tackles. Whatever. I still think he's number 2 in the NFL. You're going to have that pass rush duo of Will McDonald and Jermaine Johnson, now fully healthied up, and Quinton Williams. A little bit of a down year last year. Still an absolute stud defensive
Still
tackle.
awesome.
One of the 6 or 7 best in the NFL for sure. It's going to be a good defense, but ultimately, I think that offense is worth more than defense in the NFL because of the way that offense can dictate games. And playing hard is only going to get you so far. You just have a really shaky roster like the Jets do. They'll be fine. I don't think they'll be terrible, but not a ton upside there.
Yeah, and it's just tough because they're just going to be in a slogfest every game, and this is just not a team I see winning a lot of those games. Not saying they're not disciplined. It's just a team that they have too many holes. Somebody's bound to make a mistake, and the littlest mistake can really lose those games. So I think they'll keep it close. Well-coached teams do, but we'll see. And it's also going to be interesting to see how Engstrand does as an OC because he looked like the heir apparent in Detroit, but Aaron Glenn poached him. He got him over to New York, big get for them. So I'm excited to see how he does. Maybe he can make Fields good as well. So we'll see about that. But yeah, 6-11. Who do they play week 1? They're going against the
Yeah,
Steelers.
pretty interesting matchup. The Steelers. Yep, we picked that already.
We talked about them. We picked the Steelers. So yeah, who's next?
I have the Patriots next. I have the Dolphins second in the division, but we'll get into the caveat with that. Patriots got some upside. I think people are doing too much penciling in of Drake May as one of the, I would say, top half quarterbacks of the NFL. Could he get there? Absolutely. But I'm old enough to remember when there was a ton of hype for Anthony Richardson coming into this season. And it felt like people were just assuming that Anthony Richardson was going to be a top half starting quarterback because he showed some exciting flashes as a rookie. I think Drake May was better than Anthony Richardson was as a rookie with a worse surrounding situation. Don't get me wrong. What Drake May did is more impressive. And now you get him a better offensive line and a better group of pass catchers, and things are going to get better. But ultimately, the offense, I think, is still bad, and the defense is still really unproven. So that's, just to put it simply, my big concern with the Patriots. I still think they're a bad football team.
Yeah, they improved, but it's like they did improve a lot, and I think that's what's getting people like, oh, they could be a wild card team. Maybe if they were in the AFC, maybe if they were like in, I don't know, they wouldn't win any division. I have them going 7-10, and being second in the AFC. So that tells you how I think about this division. But I do think this is a solid team. It's just May. He was inconsistent last year. I just want to see him improve. I don't think he needs to go out there and have like this elite year. I just want to see improvement, and I think we will. I just want to see improvement, and I think we will. Will Campbell, Jared Wilson, rookies on that offensive line. I want to see the offensive line improve as well. They got pieces. The corner room's really nice now. You got Gonzo and Carlton Davis doing things. This should be a better team, but let's pump the brakes a little bit.
Gonzo is going to have a stud season. I want to make that clear. For all the faults of the defense, Christian Gonzalez is absolutely not one of them.
Yep. Also, what happened to Kyle Duggar? He's listed as a backup.
I saw that too when I was looking at the team's depth chart. I mean, I know last year was a really shaky season, but
like
I don't
2
know.
years ago, he was really good.
And they have Craig Woodson, my boy, starting ahead of him, right?
There you go. No, they're just that high on Craig Woodson. They're like, this is the best football player of all time.
We have an All-Pro and we have a Pro Bowler. And unfortunately, one of them's got to be off the field.
So why is Jalen Hawkins starting as well?
We have 2 All-Pros and we have a Pro Bowler.
You heard it here first.
That's
Jalen
really
Hawkins,
strange, though.
All-Pro. Yeah, I don't know, man. Maybe some people just they hit their peak and then they just regress real quick. It's very possible. Who do they play week 1?
They have Raiders.
Yeah, I've got the Raiders taking this one. We call this one the Jacoby Myers Bowl or the Josh McDaniels Bowl. Man, they've shared a lot of similar players. This is a close one. It really is. I'm struggling to think of a way that Drake May is going to survive under what Max Crosby is going to do to a rookie tackle. I'm just really That's the big thing with me here. I think Max Crosby has a nice day, and I'm just going to pick Geno over Drake May in week 1 of the season. That's what it comes down to. Really close pick for me, though.
That's fair enough. I'll, I think, make our second Howler pick of the game, and I'll go with
Yeah.
the Patriots here because I'm just really low on the Raiders, which we'll get into pretty soon. I think that the Patriots could have a pretty nice offensive day against them, and I like Geno. I like how Geno matches up against Drake May, but I don't love how Geno plays into the rest of that Raiders offense.
Yeah, we'll see. I'm also not super high in the Raiders. I've just talked about the only 2 upset wins I have them with on the
Okay,
pod so far.
okay.
Those are the only 2 times the Raiders have been mentioned, so we'll get to the Raiders. Um, but the Dolphins next. Your number 2 team, my number 4 team in the AFC East.
Yeah, I have them at a low 7-10. I don't think the Dolphins are going to be good. I just think that what's in a lot of people's heads is what the Dolphins were last season when Tua was hurt for the majority of the year and they were starting Tyler Huntley and it was freaking hideous and they couldn't do anything because Tyler Huntley cannot run the Mike McDaniel offense. I think Tua can, and I think when that system comes together, which they still have the cogs of it, you've still got Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. Don't have Jonnu Smith anymore, but they know how to move the pocket a little bit and get the ball out quickly and dodge what could be a really rough offensive line. I think that offense is fine. The secondary sucks. I think the defensive line can be okay. I think they can be an okay football team. Yeah, but then what happens if Tua gets hurt? I'm going to hope he doesn't, because if he does, that 7-10 prediction is going to look rough and they're going to win 3 games all year.
But even if he doesn't, he's what, the 22nd best quarterback in the league the last time we saw him play.
In their system, I think he's better than that. You take him out of the system and rank him among all NFL quarterbacks. Sure, 22nd is totally fair. His efficiency with the Dolphins, though, when everyone's healthy, I think it can be a lot stronger.
But the part of this is also why my X factor is Tyreek Hill. Tyreek Hill wasn't good last year. Part of it was the team wasn't good last year. He took a step back and a big one. Will he take another one this year? Because there's also been, we're hearing there's some bad blood in the locker room between him because he asked for a trade and he didn't get it, and now he's back. Waddle took a step back last year, and it didn't look like it was just one of those things where it's like, oh, it's just down year. It was just like, okay, did you just forget how to play football? It was terrible. He was dropping passes, just running bad routes, telegraphing his stuff all over the place. If this receiver room can return to form, then I'd say, yeah, I might join you with 7-10, but that's my big thing because if they don't have those 2 stud receivers, this offense falls apart so quickly. Mike McDaniel's gone by week 6. So it's going to completely depend on if Miami can get the most out of those receivers. I'm just struggling to predict that, so I got them going 5-12.
Honestly, with the way you talk about the receivers and the chemistry being an issue, I'm really unnerved to even have them with 7 wins because
And
I've kind of been 1 foot in, 1 foot out
yeah,
on Mike McDaniel for a while now and the way that that locker room is run and how hard his players play. I remember watching him versus the Packers on, I think that was Thanksgiving, and the broadcast wouldn't shut up about how much cold weather gear they brought to the game. Like it was this fun, neat thing. And it's like, okay, not to be the macho dude, but you shouldn't be bragging about the amount of cold weather gear you bring when it wasn't even that freaking cold out. And maybe it's because I'm
yeah,
from Wisconsin and I know what 0 degrees Fahrenheit feels like. I think there's something missing with the Dolphins.
I agree. But I think 5-12 is about as low as it goes. But yeah, you got my guy Anthony Weaver on the other sideline on as the defensive coordinator. Also, hopefully, now you can't rely on Chubb or Phillips to stay healthy, but when they are, they're a really good edge duo. And you're bringing in Kenneth Grant, looked great in the preseason, just looked as dominant as a run defender as he did in college. So hopefully that continues. They've got pieces. They've got Weaver that brings them a certain floor. I believe he'll get the most out of that secondary because he's just so good at putting guys in the right position. That gives them a certain floor for as a defense with there is no floor on offense because of how many things could go wrong. And maybe Mike McDaniel also just implodes. Who knows what's going to happen. Also, that offensive line is just so unpredictable. You've got some nice interior pieces now. I love Savaianea. Loved him coming out of Arizona. James Daniels is underrated. You love Aaron Brewer. I mean, I also do, but the tackles are just Patrick Paul and Austin Jackson. We know Austin Jackson's not going to be good. If Patrick Paul isn't good, that's just going to make it that much harder for Tua to stay healthy. There's just too many ways that this season could go wrong for Miami, and we've seen it happen so many times, and I'm just out.
So we already picked this game. They go to face the Colts in Indianapolis. I picked the Dolphins. You picked the Colts. We'll see what my pick is when the final graphic comes out.
All right. You get to change your picks because you're making the graphic. I got to stick to them.
You can change them all the way up to the buzzer as well. Just text me and let me know.
All right. I will. I don't think I will, though. Yeah, I got the Colts beating the Dolphins. That was the one we disagreed on. All right.
Now the Bills.
Yeah,
they're pretty good.
Yeah, I think they are too. Got one question. Who's going to catch passes not named Khalil Shakir? Otherwise, I'm good.
I don't think Keon Coleman sucks. I thought he showed flashes as a rookie, and he was kind of raw coming out of Florida State. I think it would make sense for him to have a year two emergence. The depth isn't great. I'm not going to run away from that. I think that this is going to be a ground and pound type of football team. That was a really underrated part of what they did last season, was their ability to control the clock. People see Josh Allen and they think explosive passing plays. And yeah, that ceiling is part of it. But even what Josh Allen does in the designed run game, what he does in the scrambling game, the way that he can use his body in short yardage situations, the way that he can be just completely fucking unsackable sometimes and wear defenders and extend the plays and buy time for receivers to come open. I had the same exact thought you did, where this team doesn't really look like most elite teams outside of Josh Allen, but the way he opens up possibilities for you makes a Super Bowl completely on the table for them.
Oh, yeah. And you've also got a few rookie defensive linemen who, if they can come in and make that immediate impact, that can quell some of your concerns about this team. If we can really, because last year the defense, it was solid, it was good, but it wasn't great. They can come in, Landon Jackson, TJ Sanders, Deion Walker. Deion Walker's had a fantastic camp and preseason. If they can come in, make an immediate impact, Joey Bosa can stay healthy and on the field, then we've got something there, Buffalo. Matt Milano will be back, hopefully somewhat to his form. He's still got one of the best corners in the league in Christian Benford, perennially underrated. It seems also a couple of underrated safeties in Taylor Rapp and Cole Bishop. This is a good team. The offensive line's good. The running back's good. The quarterback is basically one of four gods who play the position in the league. You got lucky and you picked one of the four best players in the league, so one of the four best quarterbacks in the league, an absolute franchise changer. That means you're always going to be in Super Bowl talks. I got them going 12-5, comfortably winning the division.
I have them at 11-6, also comfortably winning the division. I like that you brought up Joey Bosa, because let's be real, he's not going to stay healthy. But what if he does?
Right.
Goddamn, that's going to be a good defense.
What if he's just healthy for the playoffs? That's all you need him for.
Really all you need. Yep.
So, exactly. We did pick Baltimore. We did pick against them. We picked Baltimore. So, yeah.
That's going to be a close one. Super excited to watch that game week 1.
Yeah, it's going to be a really good one.
All right, NFC East. I have a feeling that we've got the same bottom team, the Dallas Cowboys. Vegas has not caught up on the Cowboys yet. I want to say their over-under is still at 7.5 wins, unsurprisingly juiced toward the under, but this is going to be a rough season to be a Cowboys fan. I know you can say that every season, but this year in particular, you're going to learn what rebuilding feels like. I wanted to have some optimism because you've got Dak Prescott, who I think has honestly become underrated at this phase, and you've got CeeDee Lamb, and I think you're going to have a pretty solid offensive line. But you also have a complete unknown who is, in my opinion, almost certain to be a downgrade from Mike McCarthy calling plays for you, and a defense where you have no idea what you're getting because you're probably not going to have a pass rush now that you traded away Mike Parsons. The linebacker room is, Damari Van Overshown's going to miss the entire season, correct?
I think so, yeah. That just sucks.
Absolutely. And then a secondary that is thin and continually injured. We saw the lack of depth kill them at times last season when they didn't have nearly as many question marks as they do heading into this year. I think the Cowboys play reasonably hard. We'll see if they can sustain that. Felt like they were pesky even when they were going to Cooper Rush at times last season. So I have them going 5-12, but there's no upside here. There's not really anything to be optimistic about.
So I also have them going 5-12. However, they are not my number 4 team in the AFC East.
You hate the
Uh,
Giants that much?
I don't hate the Giants, but have you looked at who they play? I
It's
mean,
so brutal.
they'll be lucky to get 3 wins. I think this is a better team than a lot of teams who have more wins than them, but I'm just looking at the schedule. I'm like, where's the wins, man? Where's the wins? Maybe I could get up to 5 if I was being really nice, but this is a fine roster. But man, it's not. You got to do some real projecting with either Jackson Dart or Russell Wilson to pick this team to win a lot more games. How many do you have them at?
I have the Giants at, and again, this comes from the fractional model where I'm assuming that they're going to win some games they're underdogs in because I think that they'll be in it.
Yeah.
I have them at 6 wins. However, I only have them favored in 3, and one of them is week 2 against the Cowboys, where I have them as a toss up with a little plus thrown at the end. From week 6 to week 12, I have them as severe underdogs in every single game. Eagles, Broncos, Eagles, Niners, Bears, Packers, Lions. The majority of those are on the road.
So I've just
Have fun.
realized, yeah, that's rough. I've just realized I picked the Giants to start the season 0-13.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So
Wow.
they're gonna start 0-13, go into the bye week, kill Jackson Dart, clone him with a really good quarterback, and then beat the Commanders, lose to the Vikings, beat the Raiders, and beat the Cowboys to finish the season 3-14. I'm not confident about this at all, but sure.
Oh, I just realized I made a mistake in my formula. So against the Chiefs, I have them written in for a 75% win chance.
Oh
It's
boy,
supposed to be 25.
really believe in them.
And so with that, they dropped down to 5.95 wins, which they were at 6.46 before.
Yeah,
Not a
it's fine.
huge deal, but worth mentioning.
Yeah. It's just this is such a tough team. And by the way, we moved on quick from the Cowboys. I agree with everything you said. Let's just predict their game. They're playing the Eagles. How much do you think they get beat by without Micah Parsons?
Let me really think about that. I think the Eagles are going to come out hungry. I think that is just a really high effort football team that wants to go back to back. And the first step with that is just beating the shit out of the Cowboys. I'm going to say that they lose by 27.
I mean, that's just a team you want to kill. This is the first game of the year. It's going to be one that is going to be over pretty quickly. The Cowboys just suck. I mean, I don't think they're as bad as you think they are, but yeah, I mean they're bad. The Giants are also bad. You know, the line is not good. Andrew Thomas is great. 2 years ago, we haven't seen him play consistently and healthy since then, so still doing a major protection. The defensive line is fantastic. The defense overall is solid. Russell Wilson, man, I'm not predicting him to win a lot of football games. I'm not going to predict Jackson Dart to win a lot of football games either. They have no difference makers on this offense other than Malik Neighbors. And who knows if he'll be enough to carry this team. 3 wins is about the lowest I'll go, but it's just I didn't predict them to get a bunch of upsets because I don't think they have the quarterback to get upsets. When you're a team like this, you need a quarterback who can give you upsets, and Russell Wilson just isn't that guy. He is going to win games that you should win more often than not, more often than some of the guys on his level, but he is not going to go out there and be that difference maker to push you to the end to get you that win. He's always going to be about as good as your team is. Pair that with the fact that if they start losing, I don't think that Daboll is going to be able to keep control of that. He could get fired mid-season. It could just get really ugly quickly. I don't have much belief in the Giants. I want to. This is a solid roster. It's just really difficult.
Imagine being Brian Daboll right now. We've talked about the infamous sort of implied win and you keep your job, lose and you get fired situation with the Giants ownership. Imagine being in that situation and looking at your roster and your schedule and saying, we've really tried hard to put ourselves in a position to win, and this is our reward. I mean, you already got to be looking at houses in other parts of the country, right? You got to be planning for the next phase of your life.
I mean, this is you just got boned. There's no two ways about it. The conference, they play the AFC West. They have obviously 6 conference games, and they play the NFC North. Good fucking luck, man. That's just such a difficult draw. But everybody else in the NFC East got it too. So we'll see.
All right. Then I have the Commanders at 9-8. Am I insane for that?
I have the Commanders at 9-8 and missing the playoffs as well.
You have them missing the playoffs?
I do. I have them as the number 9 team in the NFC.
Number 9? Oh my
It's just
God.
that's how the playoff predictors do it. I think they're probably better than that. I think this is
I guess
this is a top 7 NFC team. Again, it's just the record. The schedule is tough. The schedule is tough. That's what's going to keep them out of the playoffs for me. Probably better than my number 8 team. Than the number 8 team. I don't know if they're better than the team that made the playoffs. Honestly, if I'm just picking the seven best teams, I don't know if I'd pick the Commanders. They'd be in the top 8. I don't know if I'd pick them as a top 7 NFC team.
I guess that I'm not even that surprised that you have them missing the playoffs because based on my rankings, there are 4 teams in the wait, no, am I an idiot? Yeah, there are a bunch of teams sitting at 9-8. It's going to come down to tiebreakers the way that I have it modeled. I really hope they make the playoffs because we know the damage that the Commanders are capable of. I'm not buying into the Jaden Daniels is going to have a sophomore slump narrative because it feels like people are saying that exclusively because he had a really good rookie year.
Yeah.
Like there are no actual signs that he's going to have a sophomore slump. Everything is the same or better. It's just the way the Commanders won games last year. I got burned a couple of times saying that it was unsustainable. They kept on winning. Maybe it's foolish to sort of dig myself into this, the Commanders won too many games narrative and that they're going to come back to earth because maybe they don't. Maybe Jaden Daniels is good enough. Maybe the coaching that this team has is good enough to continue carrying them. But I just think they have a lot of holes on the offensive line, on defense as well, where they're going to have to win some shootouts, and you are really putting a lot on the shoulders of Jaden Daniels and Terry McLaurin.
Yeah, I'm not as concerned about the offensive line. I actually really like it. You've got Laramie Tunzel and Wiley, right? On the outside, They're both good. Brandon Coleman, the TCU guy last year, came out last year, looked real good at tackle. They moved him into guard. Well, he looked solid at tackle. They moved him into guard and still looks solid. Like him, Biotish consistently and underrated, one of the better interior offensive linemen in the league. Probably Coach Cosme is not getting back until late in the season, if at all, right? So that sucks because he's solid. Maybe we'll see some Chris Paul play, Rain Kane, right?
Let's
Hopefully
hope so.
We'll get to see him play, but this is not a Jaden Daniels thing. It's just going to be tough to win football games. The defenses, they're going to ask so much of Trey Amos. That's why my X factor is going to be Trey Amos, the rookie out of Ole Miss. If he's good, then I think we can talk about it. But if they're in a similar situation where you just don't have a corner that we can rely on, Marshon Lattimore, I think, will be good. He played a lot better down the stretch once he was a little bit further removed from his injury. But if it's just him, I just don't believe in this team necessarily. So it'll be a tough road for this team to really even make the playoffs with the schedule that they have. They can do it. I have them losing a couple of games that they might win, a few toss-ups. I have them going the wrong way. And it's tough for me to pick Jaden Daniels to miss out on the playoffs because he's already in that tier of guys where it's just he's a top 7 quarterback to me. He's making a difference every game. He can win any game. I don't think this is a team that's going to get beat by a lot in any given game because Jaden Daniels is so good that he will always be in it. But they could easily make the playoffs. I'm not saying they're not. It's just in this scenario, they don't. It's just a toss-up whether they do for me or not. But either way, I don't think this team's going far.
I do have the Commanders in as my 7 seed, but then I have the Philadelphia Eagles as my number 1 seed. I have a feeling that's not going to be a shock. They're your number 1 seed as well.
Well, yeah. Unless I had them going 8-9, yeah. Which I don't. I have them going 13-4.
I have them at 11-6. Again, that's my system. They have a freaking tough schedule as well. The entire division naturally does.
Oh yeah, but I think they're going to fight through it because you got a tough schedule as a mediocre team that's just going to lower your win total. If you're a really good team, tough schedule doesn't mean nothing. You're still going to win those games that you should win because you're the better than most teams that you're playing still when you're a top 3 team. So, I think the Eagles are just going to take care of business. It's going to be more of the same. I think I'm really looking to see if Nolan Smith and Jalix Hunt can continue to get that consistent pressure. If they can, I don't really have many concerns about this team. They're going to be in Super Bowl contention like they were last year. Obviously, they have been for the Jalen Hurts era and the Nick Sirianni era. Another thing I will say, they had Kellen Moore calling the plays on offense last year. He is now the Saints head coach. They've got a new guy, Nick Patullo. Am I correct? Or Kevin Patullo? Somebody Patullo.
I think it is. It's Nick Patul something. Is it Patula?
Patula. But either way,
right.
if we remember 2 years or a year,
It is Kevin Patullo.
Kevin
You're dead
Patullo,
right.
yeah. If we remember a year, if we're only a year removed from a really bad Jalen Hurts season and a really bad Eagles season where they got bounced in the first round because they just could not they just could not build a cohesive offense. The offense was not functioning, and it was a relatively similar roster. Ryan Johnson calling the plays. Kevin Patullo is a big question. Can he call plays to help Jalen Hurts? Can he make this a cohesive unit? Can he replicate last year's success? It's not a hard thing to do. You have all of this talent. But if he can't, then you're talking about a team that is going to rely on Jalen Hurts to do a lot. And I don't think he can carry a team on his back like a Jaden Daniels, like a Matt Stafford, like one of those four elite quarterbacks that we always talk about, Mahomes, Jackson, Allen, Burrow. I don't think he can do that. That is where the floor for the Eagles comes in. That's how they might miss the Super Bowl this year. That's how they might even get knocked out even earlier than the conference championship this year. Still think this is a really good team. Not saying it's going to happen, but losing a guy like Kellen Moore, who's a great play caller, always going to have a question mark there. With an unknown coming in, something to keep an eye on for the first couple of weeks. Is this offense operating as if it's business as usual, or does it look a little bit different?
It would help if Moro Ojimo could do some damage in replacement for Milton
Yeah.
Williams as well. That defensive line and just its suffocatingness in both phases was such a huge part of what made the Eagles imposing last season. They've got a shakeup there. I think they can still have a really strong defensive line. I like that you're not afraid to say that there potentially are cracks with this Eagles team. When they were at their best last year, they were borderline invulnerable. At the beginning of the year, they weren't at their best. And I think you can put a lot of that on the shoulders of Jalen Hurts. Again, not being one of the truly elite quarterbacks in the NFL. I think it's okay to call Jalen a system QB, even if he's a really good one. They had some injuries as well. There's stuff that could go wrong for the Eagles, but I'm not going to be caught betting against them, especially not in week 1 against the Cowboys. They're winning that one by 50.
Yeah. And also another thing I like to point out sometimes, we remember the route in the Super Bowl, right? Eagles just took it to the Chiefs. I also remember in the divisional round where the Rams were a 50-50 ball away from taking them down. Like, we'll talk about these great teams who do these great things. It's a really tough sport. These games can be really close. And in the NFL, where it's just one mistake can get you knocked out, a team that did not play well the first 2 weeks of the playoffs. And we were like, do they have the legs to go the distance? Then they tightened it up and they look like the best team in the league. They look like the Super Bowl champion the last 2 weeks. One more mistake could have cost them their season last year. It will be difficult for them. It's hard to go back to back. The Chiefs made it look easy because they have Patrick Mahomes. Jalen Hurts isn't Patrick Mahomes. I still think they're going 13-4. I still think they're going to be awesome this year. I'm just not saying it's a guarantee they're going back to the Super Bowl. They're going to have to work. They're going to have to keep fighting, and they're going to have to try and stay as close to perfect as they can get.
Speaking of Super Bowl, I want to go to the AFC West. My number 4 team is the Raiders. I'm excited for this conversation. Not the Raiders, but the one we'll get into.
Yeah.
What do you think about Vegas? You definitely like them more than I do. I'm pretty low on this team. I think they're going to play hard, but how long does that last? I see question marks along the offensive line. And Gino with what I think is going to be a pretty lackluster group of weapons. The offensive line is going to be giving up pressure. I think they're going to be turnovers aplenty for this Raiders team that cannot afford to have them based off the defense that they're trotting out there.
So what do you have as their record?
5-12.
So we see them similarly. I have them 5-12 as well. I don't have them a lot higher than you do. I see the similar
This show
concerns.
sucks.
This is
I
a
hate
terrible
this
show.
show.
Why are you watching this? Um, the defense sucks. That's my concern. I like the offensive line, I think, a little bit more than the consensus does. Love Ashton Genty. I think Geno Smith's a top 12 quarterback, and I don't think he gets the credit he deserves for that. He will be inconsistent. I don't really care. You've got Chip Kelly calling the plays. You got Pete Carroll at the helm. That brings a certain level of stability to this offense that I think he's going to benefit from. Defense sucks. Christian Wilkins is gone for who knows what happened there, right? So now you've got Max Crosby. I just take a look at that corner room. Take a look at that safety room. It's just atrocious. Let's look at what the model says about their team overall. So they're not that low. They're the 17th rated team in the league, but the defense is the 9th worst. That's actually not that bad. Well, okay, so the model kind of likes them.
Crosby has to do a lot of heavy lifting there.
Okay, I don't know what the fuck the model's doing. Never mind. They're not the Excel just sucks. Never mind. But either way, yeah, the safety room is probably the worst in the league. The corner room is probably bottom 3. You're just going to get beat by pretty much everybody deep. So Geno's just going to have to be slinging it all season. He can outduel guys 5 times out of 17 times. That's what I ended up going with.
All right. Who do they play in week 1? I think we already picked that. Oh, yeah, it was the Patriots. And I picked the Pats. You picked the Raiders, I believe.
Yep, I picked the Raiders. Go into Foxborough and take it. Interesting matchup there because it's two new head coaches that are not first-time head coaches. Mike Vrabel, obviously coached for the Titans for a while, coming back to the game to coach New England. Pete Carroll coached Seahawks to multiple Super Bowls, coming back to coach the Raiders. A little bit of an interesting matchup.
And I would argue both coaches that aren't really known for their schematics per se.
Yeah. And it's Chip Kelly's first game back calling NFL because he's been with Ohio State for a while, calling plays in college. It's a very different game. I'm excited to see, because, we remember Chip Kelly's offenses with the Eagles, and I'm really excited to see how much that's changed now. I wasn't watching ball. I was watching ball when he was coaching the Eagles, but I didn't understand the schematics. I was like 7, right? But I'm excited to see. I love to see guys come back from college who were in the NFL previously and see how they've added new stuff, because sometimes we get like new schemes and new kind of metas in the league on offense from guys who go to college and then come back, and it just works for in a season, and we get something really weird until people figure out how to counter it. And I think that could be the case with Chip Kelly. So if you start to see them win games, it's because Chip Kelly figures something out.
I'm excited to see that as well. The Ohio State offense last year was just easy to watch with some of the ways they would get the ball to, say, Travion Henderson in space and utilize misdirection. And it really feels like he's tightened up his approach into something more pro style that I do think will play in the NFL. Maybe that's the key for the Raiders to win more than 4 or 5 games this year.
Yep. Who do you have as your number 3 team in the AFC West?
I have the Chargers, and I freaking hate it.
I do too. So yeah, we ran into each other the other day, and I was like, you know what? I think I'm going to be lower on the Broncos. Turns out I'm not.
We'll see. We'll see. You might be the low man on the Broncos.
Oh, maybe. All right, I have the Chargers going 10-7.
I have the Chargers at 9-8. It's just how much talent can Jim Harbaugh dig up, like we saw from the Chargers last season? It was just the snap of a finger. Everything changed with the Chargers' identity. We saw so many new faces come out of the woodwork and really contribute for LA, whereas it was the opposite of that in years past. Guys would play down and they would never win the close games. I think that phase of the Chargers is done, but then you look at the roster and it gets really shaky pretty fast outside of Justin Herbert. I think they're going to try to run the ball. I think they'll be able to do it much like they did last year, where they're successful against the bad teams and it kind of disappears for them against the good teams. I just ultimately think they're really similar. Having Justin Herbert helps, but I don't think Justin Herbert is a drag you to the playoffs type of quarterback.
I'll be honest. I had them winning the division until Rashawn Slater went down for the season. I cannot express to you how much that hurt. Like I didn't expect that to hurt me as much as it did because I mean, obviously, it doesn't matter what team you root for. Um, when you see a player who any player go down, it just sucks. But seeing Slater go down, man, that was just brutal. I mean, because he just got paid, which is great. He got his bag before he got hurt. This is why, by the way, this is why players, they don't come to practice until they get paid. This is not just, a game. This is their livelihood. They need to make sure they're taken care of because it can go away in an instant. Good on Slater for making sure he got paid before he got hurt. But just, I mean, he wasn't being talked about as one of like the top 3 tackles in the league. This was his year to really show it. They had the Lineman of the Year award. I thought he was going to be a contender for that, and he was going to be such a big part of this offense. And now he's down, and he is such an integral part of how they run the football there and how they approach pass protection. Herbert is just so confident that Slater has it done on the left side that he was able to focus more on Joe Alt and kind of hide some of Joe Alt's inconsistencies, right? Where he's able to maneuver because he just knows I don't have to worry about my blind side. We call it the blind side because quarterback's not looking at it. Sometimes it's tough, but so if you have to look behind you, it makes it a lot harder to be a quarterback. Herbert's going to have to do some of that this year. You're bringing in Omarion Hampton, who's going to be hopefully going to be a great running back for you this year. Not much changes in the receiver department. You still got McConkey going into year 2. Hopefully that will be better. Minter's still going to call a great defense. You've got a couple of nice corners back there. Tarheeb's still, hopefully, was not a one-hit wonder. He's going to continue to be good. I like Cam Hart, but I think their talent will be maximized. It's just about how far the talent can take them. The coaching is going to be great. Herbert is a great quarterback, but I think they go to the playoffs. I think they're probably pretty early exits. It's just a kind of a lower ceiling than I was hoping for with the Chargers this year. Because I hate the Raiders. I hate the Chiefs. I'll be honest. I don't hate the Chargers. I don't.
It's so
I
hard
don't.
to.
I really don't. So I was kind of rooting for y'all, right? It sucks. It sucks. This is kind of how it's had to go.
So they play the Chiefs week 1. Chiefs have to come to their house, which I think is a pretty big deal because it would be a whole different situation if they had to go to Arrowhead. I'm going to pick the Chargers.
So they're not going to SoFi.
Oh, where they at?
Brazil.
Oh, I completely forgot about that. Well, that just adds another layer of weird onto that game.
Yeah, that's why I picked the Chiefs because, like, the Chargers, they're going to struggle. Herbert's first game without Slater, plus you add that layer of weird, which I feel like the Chiefs are so good at maneuvering weird. I'm going to take the Chiefs.
Fair enough. I think I'll stick with the Chargers.
That's fair. I almost did.
I want to make a point. I have the Chiefs second in the division. I have them tied with the Broncos at 10-7, but the Broncos came out a little higher. Victor, I think the Broncos are going to be really good, and I think the Chiefs are maybe the most overrated team in football right now. I look at their roster, and I just can't get behind it.
10-7?
The schedule's hard.
Yeah, but the Broncos are better. I have the Broncos going 11-6, and I have them as the second best team in the AFC West.
Okay, so I do want to say the NFC West and the AFC West are the 2 divisions where I didn't actually get to go matchup by matchup for them. I just kind of looked at how I graded them out in other matchups, and then I'll go back and make it coherent and make it so that the entire schedule lines up. Maybe the Broncos come out higher. I think that even though they have a lot of tough matchups, they have a lot of favorable matchups against quarterbacks I think can be disoriented, teams I think they can establish the run on, keep Bo Nix clean. So super excited for the Broncos this year.
Yeah, so am I. What always gives the Broncos, for me, such a high floor is what they showed last year and what they showed the first year with Sean Payton is this team is just not going to lose to teams worse than them. And because they have such a good roster now, that is most teams. For me, the question is just completely Bo Nix. A lot of people in the Broncos fandom are calling Bo Nix like every time there's a new quarterback ranking released, they're like, Bo Nix is too low, and Bo Nix is like 19th, and I'm like, that's about where he should be based on last year's play. I think he'll be better this year. I'm projecting him as a top 16 quarterback. Will he be top 10? I don't know. I wouldn't bet on it. I wouldn't. there are still some issues with his game that he's really got to clean up. Namely, he was just one of the worst quarterbacks under pressure last year, and he just had mind-numbing misses sometimes. Accuracy, reads, he's just got to get more consistent with NFL speed and everything. And he has got to learn to maneuver under pressure, because if he can't do that, he is never going to be a good NFL quarterback. He could be like, so he has a lot of similarities to Jalen Hurts, actually. And I think that's what this Broncos team, they might be like similar to the Eagles, honestly, last year. Just a little worse. Just a little worse. I don't think they have the talent the Eagles did last year. They don't have the playmakers, right? But I think they have there's a lot of similarities. The Broncos this year, the Eagles last year. It's just, I think that's what Bo Nix probably will be this year. I think he'll be similar to Jalen Hurts. I do think he can be better than Jalen Hurts. We'll see if that happens this year. But they don't have A.J. Brown. They don't have Devontae Smith. They don't have Saquon Barkley. They don't have Lane Johnson or Jordan Mailata. They have Garrett Bowles and Mike McGlinchey, who are good in their own right. They're not as good as those guys. They have Courtland Sutton. He's not as good as A.J. Brown. The defense is really good. And that's why they have such a high floor. You've got this elite coaching staff and Sean Payton and Vance Joseph, who you know are going to get you this is a staff that's going to get you a winning record with this roster. This is the best defense in the league. Well, let's see if the model agrees. I actually haven't checked. What the fuck is going on with Excel, man? Why can they not just order my shit in correct order? I have no idea.
I swear to God, the Microsoft suite is just worse than the Google suite. I'm tired of pretending it's not.
They are. Let's just look at the top teams. Yeah, I think they're a pretty clear top three defenses. They're a pretty clear top three defense in the league. It's Denver, Pittsburgh, and Baltimore. After that, there's a lot of good defenses. I don't think any of them are elite like those three are. Denver is just great at every position. Nick Bonito has had the second most sacks last year. He's going to repeat it. You just can't stop him. His speed move is that dynamic that it's just, even the best NFL tackles are just going to struggle to slow him down. And you've got Jonathan Cooper and Jonah Ellis on the other side making plays. Jonah Ellis looked really promising. Zach Allen's one of the best interior defensive linemen in football. I don't know why he's not talked about like that. He's an absolute game wrecker. The one issue the past 2 years with Sean Payton's defense, with Vance Joseph defense, has been linebacker. You bring in Dre Greenlaw. When healthy, top 10 linebacker in the league. If he can stay healthy, there you go. Same with Talanoa Hufanga, really great safety when he's healthy. And guess what? Guess what the Broncos have? They have the best injury rate of any team over the past 2 years. This strength staff is elite. That's why I think they're going to be able to keep those guys clean. You got the reigning defensive player of the year. And then guess what? You already had an elite secondary. Why not add first-round pick pro-ready Jahdae Barrett to the mix? This is just going to come down to, can Bo Nix take a big leap versus only a small leap? Can he get better under pressure? And can somebody in that receiver room stand out other than Courtland Sutton? Can Troy Franklin take the leap? Can Marvin Mims take the leap? If both of those things happen, the Broncos are a Super Bowl contender. If not, probably a similar story to last year, probably just a little bit better. Maybe they have a closer playoff loss. Maybe they go to the divisional. But it's going to come down to Bo Nix. If he can be really good, there's no limit on this Broncos team. I just don't know. It's so tough for me to predict that. It's just so difficult because Bo Nix's year last year was so wild in both ways. You know, we're just going to have to see. I think it'll be pretty apparent pretty quickly how much he's improved.
Imagine calling yourself a believer and only giving that team 12 wins in your prediction.
I gave him 11.
Unbelievable. Wow.
I know.
You hate him.
I do.
Think Bo Nix is like a bottom 5 quarterback in the NFL.
I think he's terrible. I think he's terrible.
You wish they drafted Spencer Rattler instead.
I really do.
The Broncos are going to be sick this year. I loved hearing you talk about that defense. I mean, I don't think I'd even fully contextualize how damn good that unit is because, like you mentioned, Tal Hufanga has been an injury question mark. Dre Greenlaw has been an injury question mark. If you can keep them on the field, that is genuinely an unpenetrable force. And you pair that with the way that Vance Joseph creates misdirection, calling plays.
Yeah.
I mean, you could win a game with 200 yards of offense in that setup.
And they did last year. That's the thing. They did that consistently last year. So you know this team can win with Bo Nix and a good defense. That defense just got better. And I don't think Bo Nix is going to get worse. So I think their floor is like 9-8, 10-7, which might still buy them a playoff spot. Compare this to like 2 or 3 years ago. I am so up. Like makes me feel things. After the Peyton Manning era ended, it was pretty dark for a while. So it's nice to be back in the good graces of the NFL gods.
We already talked about their game. They take on the Titans. Cam Ward's first NFL game.
Should
There
be
are
an easy
better
win.
places to start a
Yeah.
career. Yep.
It should be an easy game. And against that secondary, I want to see you piece them up, Bo. I want to see you go out there and do it.
And we're actually going to conclude the AFC West with my number 2 team, the Kansas City Chiefs, who I have at 10-7. Victor, I'm not doing this again. Last year, they were like a 10-win team, and they won, 15 games?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I think that they're a 10-win team. They have Patrick Mahomes, and they have Chris Jones, and is that basically it outside of, oh my gosh, who's the cornerback who's eluding me? Trent McDuffie.
Yeah.
Those are, to me, they're 3 really impressive win-adding pieces. Travis Kelce isn't that guy anymore. The offensive line is a question mark that it feels like nobody is talking about after they got exposed in the Super Bowl. I don't even know if you can call what the Chiefs did throwing a Band-Aid on the offensive line. I know they didn't really have the cap room to address that, but still the product that they're trotting out there on the field. I think the run game is going to be rough. I think that their defensive line is going to be attackable outside of Chris Jones. They're going to have to bullshit their way to a lot of wins this year to have anything like the season they had last.
Yeah, they are. And normally with most teams, I'd say, yeah, it's not going to happen. After seeing the Chiefs do this for the past 2 years, I'm just like 12-5, fuck it. And they're still going to go 14-3. I don't know, man. The Broncos were they blocked a 37-yard field goal to win a football game, man. They just have devil magic, and it's just something I'm not going to fight anymore. I'm not going to predict the Broncos to win the division. I can't do that to myself. Chiefs 12-5. Whatever, man. And they have pieces, right? Patrick Mahomes, Rashee Rice will be back after 6 games, which is bullshit. It should be a lot longer of a suspension. The line's a question. The interior isn't, though, at least. And Xavier Worthy should hopefully get better. He wasn't great at the end of last year. Defense is nice, though. Karlaftis is just a solid. He's a great number 2. He does have to be the number 1 edge for them, but sometimes he's not because Chris Jones can just play 2 positions. Whatever. You got a great linebacker room, 2 studs in Nick Bolton and Leo Chanel. And they added Christian Fulton, which is going to do a lot for that secondary.
It's big. Yeah. Good signing.
In 12-5, that's kind of just I'm a little bit of middle ground. Maybe we see a little bit of regression, but you still got Spags calling the defense. You still got Andy Reid calling the offense, and you still got Patrick Mahomes. And now Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce are getting engaged, so the NFL is going to push that even further. So they're going to the Super Bowl. Like, that's going to happen. You know what I mean? So there's nothing you could do to fight it.
I think we played this the right way because you, as the Broncos fan, are higher on the Chiefs than I am. So if the Chiefs are bad, I can be happy about that. I can say, woo, I called it. However, if you called the Chiefs being bad, you're going to be beating yourself up for that because you made that happen as a fan of the Broncos. So I think this is smart. This is good strategy.
Yeah, I win either way. If they're good, they were going to be good. Who fucking cares? If they're bad, Broncos sweep the Chiefs, baby. That's what's happening. We're beating Patrick Mahomes. Bo Nix is going to walk into Arrowhead, beat the fuck out of Patrick Mahomes, slap that silly-ass afro thing that he calls an afro off his head, win the Super Bowl. That's what I'm talking about. That's the AFC West.
The Chiefs are the only NFL team that actually makes you embrace stoicism. Whatever's going to happen is going to happen.
Just exactly. It's just a fact of life. And so you picked Los Angeles to beat them week 1. I picked them to get the win over Los Angeles week 1. And that is how it went. That's the AFC West. Are we onto our last division now?
One more left. It's the NFC West, and I can't think of a better division to end with because holy hell, I have no idea what's going to happen at all. Every single season.
Every year, it's like, listen, it's tough to predict this division. I got it, though. I don't have it. This is the year I'm finally going to brace the fact that I don't have it. Don't listen to what I say. In fact, I have just go with the reciprocal of everything I pick. I have the Seahawks as the worst team in the division, going 7-10. They're going to win the division, going 10-7. Book it.
We can kind of do a speed round for the NFC West. I have it going Cardinals at 8-9, then the Rams and Seahawks at 9-8, and the 49ers being the lone playoff team from that division. Actually, is that right? See, my computer is in after 10 o'clock yellow light mode because whatever, it's easier on the eyes. And so I can't see my yellow highlights for the wild card teams anymore. Just unbelievable stuff getting in the way of the Balls Talk Sports NFL podcast. But I'm pretty sure the 49ers are my only playoff team from this division at 10-7. I mean, you name it. These teams have injury question marks. In the case of the Seahawks, they have a new franchise quarterback. We don't know what we're getting out of some of these offensive lines. I don't know where to start here. The 49ers, I think, have the highest upside, but it's going to be about who stays healthy and who stays consistent.
Yeah, so I think we disagree big time on one of those there. I got the Rams going 12-5 and winning the division.
All right. I understand why.
Yeah, I mean, and I understand why you have them going 9-8. Like you said, all of these teams have a bunch of variance. Why don't we start off with the team that has the least variance, in my opinion, the Arizona Cardinals?
Fair enough. I've got them at 9-8. It's time for Kyler Murray to prove it. I don't think the pieces of an elite team are there, but the pieces of a good one certainly are. Marv is the other guy who has to step up. I think people have made a lot of excuses for his rookie season. I'm not going to say he was bad, but he was really underwhelming, in my opinion. I thought a lot of his production came from kind of just getting targeted a lot. And as a prospect who is supposed to be pro ready, we got to see it in year 2. We got to see the chemistry. We got to see the ability to go up there and win a jump ball and make life easier on Kyler Murray, give Murray more options so Murray can stay comfortable. They're going to be fine. They have a solid floor, just running behind James Conner, some of the best vision in the NFL, just tough as nails. That's going to get him some wins against bad teams. I think they patched up the defense a little bit, but that is obviously Kyler Murray is going to be their key to exceeding that 8-9 ranking.
Yeah, for sure. I don't know if this is maybe it's his prove it year, but I really think he already kind of has proved it. I think he's just the 16th best quarterback in the league, and that's probably just all he's ever going to be. And that's okay. You know, I mean, it's not great. You'd like him to be better. You're probably not going to win a Super Bowl with him. So you're going to have to figure out what you want to do because this roster is quietly getting a lot better. This defense has been built up nicely. They played really well under Jonathan Gannon last year. He was getting the best out of a lot of guys who we thought didn't have that. Our guy, Zaven Collins-Brain Kane, he played really well down the stretch last year. And I think it's because of Jonathan Gannon really teaching these guys up. He's a good defensive coordinator. BallsTalkSports Pro Bowler last year, Garrett Williams, played really well in the nickel and just continued that play. And they brought in one of my favorite players and yours, Will Johnson, who the big issue with why he fell was injuries. Well, guess what? Seems to be healthy right now. So you've got a great corner week 1. Max Melton's also real good. Brought in Calais Campbell. He's ageless. He's like the Frank Gore of interior defensive linemen. Unfortunately, Walter Nolan appears like he's going to have a pretty bad injury. Might keep him out all year. We don't really have a time frame yet.
It's rough.
And they brought in Josh Sweat. So this is a really promising defense. You've also got a guy. Watch the last 5 games of Cardinals tape last year and just focus on Paris Johnson. This is a guy who's ready to break out. This is a guy coming out of college. This is just a classic case. Coming out of college, a great prospect. Year 1, ups and downs. Year 2, starting to put it together. Puts it together in the last half of the season. Year 3, we're about to see. And I think it's going to be really good and help this team a lot. This is a solid offensive line. Good running back. Semi-reliable quarterback. You know, he's not going to be absolutely terrible. If Marv takes a step forward, we're talking about a playoff team maybe. If Gannon can, really kind of back up my hype behind him, my belief in him, I think we're talking about a playoff team. I'm not going to predict that, but I think it could happen. It's in the cards. High floor, but a lower ceiling team because I think we kind of seen all there is to see with Kyler Murray.
I didn't know that we were waiting on the Paris Johnson breakout because, I mean, now that you say it, yeah, he can get even better. He was already really solid last year. He's on a great trajectory. He's just
I'm
a
talking
stud
like
offensive tackle.
Andrew Thomas, Christian Darrisaw, Rashawn Slater type breakout, like where it's like they were already good, but then we're just catapulted into being elite because he has those traits and he looked that
Definitely.
good last year. Do it over a season and I'm there,
Oh, and then a little fantasy tidbit. I can't even call this advice. Trey McBride better score more than one touchdown during the
Yeah,
fantasy football season. Signed a Trey McBride owner.
exactly. And that also helps when you've got the second best tight end in football. Trey
Yep.
McBride.
I'm glad. Okay, so one is Kill, right, for you,
Yes.
surely.
Yes.
So Bowers is 3.
Probably.
Thank you. Okay.
Yeah, I'm struggling to think who else would be in that conversation for 3. Guys, I'm not saying that these guys would be in the conversation, just guys off the top who I'm thinking of who are just really good tight ends. Only guys I can really think of that might be in that conversation are Goddard and Kraft for me.
Yeah, Kate Otten's not there. John, who had a really good year last year, but he's big slot design touch guy.
Otten's probably like I think it's Bowers and then like a tier, like a half a teardrop, Kraft and Goddard, and then like a half a teardrop, Kate Otten.
David Njoku, baby.
It's just he's been hurt and inconsistent. The Browns suck, so it's tough.
We
But
need
I
more good
really,
tight ends in the NFL.
yeah, we really do. But Kraft is really good, and people aren't talking about it. I don't know why. They're acting like Musgrave's going to take the job back. That's Tucker Kraft's job. T.J. Hawkinson as well, and
There
Laporta.
you go. There it is.
Laporta, I'm really interested in this year because last year was about learning how to block for him. I think he did that. Like he can play now. He can play as a blocker. He's still that dynamic receiver. So when we've got another year of blocking under the belt, I think we could do some fun things with him this year with John Morton calling the plays. So Laporta also in that conversation.
Can't wait for the tight end power rankings episode.
Let's do it. It'll be awesome. All right.
Did we call the Rams game already? I think we did.
The Cardinals.
Oh yeah.
We had them.
I'm getting tired.
Yeah, we're almost done. Yeah, we had the Cardinals beating the Saints.
All right. Yep. Easy enough. Okay, 3 teams left. You want to take it away on the Rams?
Or the Rams, yeah. I just think it's pretty simple. Matthew Stafford had those injury issues. However, he died a few weeks ago. They replaced him with a clone, and now he's coming in. The clone's not going to have any injury issues. They have spare parts in the locker room. Just put them in. So that's that taken care of. And then we've got Puka Nacua. But something I feel like we're not talking about enough is that they've also got Devontae Adams. We just forget that Devontae Adams is one of the best receivers in the league. I think we kind of did. I get it. He played for the Raiders and the Jets, and they sucked, but he still was really good. Still just awesome. So on a good team, good luck stopping Puka Nacua and Devontae Adams. Stafford, Nacua, and Adams are really all this offense needs to just consistently be putting up points. You just cannot put a lid on that level of talent. And they have more than that. They have Kyron Williams. They have a good offensive line. Dotson, Avila. Hopefully Limmer takes a step forward. They got back Alaric Jackson, which was big. Signing a relatively team-friendly deal to come back as well. Havenstein probably won't be able to stay healthy, but you expect that. And then you've got one of the best defensive lines in football and nothing else on defense, but I think that will be enough. Plus, Chris Shula, one of the most underrated defensive coordinators in the league. Only reason that secondary was hit as well as it was last year and as well as it will be this year. I think they're going to win a lot of games just due to the fact they're more talented than you are. They've also got the best coach in the league in Sean McVay. That's just a recipe for winning a lot of games and making the playoffs consistently. They win the division, and I think pretty comfortably. If
remember that mid-season game where it felt like their entire offensive line healthied up at one time and they won an absolute barn burner against the Bills?
Yep.
I think that's a realistic upside for this team.
Yeah.
They could win shootouts and they won't have to with how good the defensive line is. That's just if Matthew Stafford can stay healthy and he's not any younger. And let's hope your story about the clone is real, because that would be great for football. I really want the Rams to be good. Super entertaining team, super easy team to root for. I was really hoping they would knock off the Eagles in that snow game. So, I mean, can't believe I'm praying for Matthew Stafford, former Detroit Lion, but let's get it.
When they're healthy, they can beat anyone. I believe that about the Rams. It's just, yeah, the health. Another team that, if they can get healthy come playoff time, dangerous team.
All right, and now the Seahawks.
Yeah.
What do you have them at in terms of record?
7-10. I have them at 7-10. And by the way, we had the Rams. We had the Rams beating the Texans, the both of us.
I have the Seahawks at 9-8, and I wonder if I'm higher on year 2 of the Mike McDonald defense than you are potentially, or do you just really think Sam Darnold is going to be living under pressure and that's going to sink them?
I think that Sam Darnold is a product of Kevin O'Connell, and I don't believe that whoever's calling the plays there, which the fact that I don't know, it's going to be a mixture of the interior pressure plus Sam Darnold's not going to have Kevin O'Connell helping him out. Just watching last year, Sam Darnold, it's just he had so many easy plays to make. He made a lot of tough plays, but it was mostly like arm talent plays, accuracy plays. It wasn't like I anticipated this throw at perfect time to fit it in. We're talking about a dagger flipping to the backside dig and just hitting it on point over the linebacker at a perfect level. Just didn't see that often from Darnold. We saw him get a lot of easy looks, not easy throws. He made a lot of tough throws, a lot of easy looks. When those easy looks aren't there, when the offensive line breaks down, which will happen more, when the receivers aren't going to be able to get open on the outside because they have 3 slot receivers starting, that's where we're going to start having issues with Darnold. And that's my issue. I think the McDonald defense is going to be really good. It will get them wins. I'm not saying Darnold's going to be terrible. I just think there's a certain limited ceiling also because it's just overall not the best. I also don't think they're going to have much of a presence in the run game. They didn't last year. Nothing's really improved. They have Gray Zabel. Y'all know how much I love Gray Zabel. That might help. I don't think it's going to be enough.
Gray Zabel has to be their X factor because you look at what they're trotting out on the offensive interior. I know they've got Oluwatimi starting, and who else do they have?
Is it still Bradford, maybe?
I believe it is, yeah. In the offensive tackles, I mean, sure, they're fine when they're healthy, but are they going to stay healthy? That could really cave in quickly. Not just the offensive line, but then the entire offense by proxy. I really think they made a mistake going out there and paying Sam Darnold that much money. Not because it's some franchise-sinking move, but, I mean, what is the end game here with bringing in Sam Darnold? You draft a quarterback and sit him behind Sam Darnold for a year, and you're somehow better off for it? I don't think you're going to win a Super Bowl with him.
I do get it, though, because if you're Mike McDonald and the GM, they brought him alongside with him. His name is evading me right now. But if you're them, you're going into year 2, tough first year. If you kind of tear it down, then you might not be back up to where you want to be until year 4 of your experience, and you're not making it to year 4 if you're losing football games. So Darnold's going to guarantee you a certain level of winning if he's good enough. So I get the move from their standpoint. Probably not the best from the franchise standpoint, but you always got to remember these are guys trying to keep their jobs.
That really is an important thing to remember. I think that in a vacuum, NFL roster construction would be significantly better if GMs weren't constantly living with the fear of getting fired because they have 2 down seasons in a row in the back of their head.
So we did just see a GM who is also the owner, which means he has great job security, make possibly the stupidest move we've seen in quite a while. So it's not like it's a cure-all for bad decisions.
Don't try to explain Jerry Jones. It's better off that way.
That's true. All right, we're going to finish it off with San Francisco. Oh wait, Seattle. Who do we have them playing?
Do they play the Niners by chance?
Yeah, they play San Francisco. Okay. All right, we'll talk about that game with San Francisco.
All right, so I have the 49ers at 10-7, and I hate it because everyone could get hurt and this team could be really bad again. I want to believe that they have some sort of practical floor just because Kyle Shanahan is their offensive coordinator. And who did they bring in on defense? They got a name back.
They got Saleh back.
Saleh back. And that is going to be tremendous for them. I think they're going to be way less of a liability against the run. And let's be real. Last year they were disappointing, but they also got freaking terrible luck. They were the opposite of the Kansas City Chiefs. I think that last year's given some people an unrealistic idea of what their practical floor looks like because, everything can go wrong and you can just lose every game. that universe exists somewhere out there in the millions of NFL universes. I'm not going to say that that's any team's floor because it's just not useful for analytics purposes. I think that the Niners, if a normal amount of things go wrong, are still going to be in playoff contention because the offensive line should be okay. You have enough star talent remaining, and you have really good coaching on both sides of the ball. But at this stage, I'm really skeptical that they can get over the hump. It feels like they just didn't win a Super Bowl when they had that opportunity. Now their star players are too old. Can you count on Trent Williams' health? Can you count on George Kittle's health? So many things need to go right for them to be an excellent football team.
Yeah, I have them going 10-7 as well. I just think this is going to be a good football team, right? They're probably just going to be good, not great, get bounced pretty early in the playoffs. I do have them making the playoffs, but like you said, they missed their window. I don't really have much to add. And they're also missing Malik Mustafa for the first couple of weeks of the season. I don't know how long that injury is going to last, but also lost Charvarius Ward. Unfortunate circumstance there. Not really a fault of anybody, but he just had to move on. Understandable, but that's a big loss for you. So Renardo Green played well last year, but he's going to have to fill his shoes. Diamador Lenore looks to be starting on the outside. That'll be a new challenge for him. They do got my guy Alfred Collins on the interior. They got my guy. And they got my guy, Mikael Williams, as well, So you're guaranteed a great run defense with him, Bosa, and Williams. Collins, Bosa, and Williams, because those are just guys who are going to come in the league and be awesome run defenders immediately. Plus, Pooney played really well last year, so that's some nice stability at the guard position at least. Hopefully McCaffrey can stay healthy. Purdy, I've come around on Brock Purdy. I used to very much dislike him. I've come around after last year where he really wasn't given that system to work with. Like, it was consistently, he had to improvise. Things were breaking down. It wasn't working as intended. He made the play still. So I'll be the first to admit when I was wrong, and I was wrong on Purdy. This is a good NFL quarterback, and he's not system specific. This is a guy who can do it, and he would do it for anybody else. Obviously, I think it helped him starting out, but man, now he's just a good NFL quarterback. So I'm sorry to Brock Purdy. I'm sorry to the Brock Purdy fan base. I was wrong. I'll admit it. I was wrong. Good for Brock Purdy. I'm a Purdy fan now. Plus, the legs are just a great quality to have. He's also just completely transformed his throwing motion, his mechanics, and that's made him be able to throw the ball quite a bit faster with more zip and a little bit further, which has just been world of help for him. So credit to Purdy. I mean, he has put in so much work and he has improved so much more than anybody thought he could. That's just such a great story.
The one thing you forgot, when you have Nick Martin on your football team, anything is possible.
This is true. Trout's out there at running back when CMC gets injured.
Never know. Maybe a position switches in the cards.
Maybe. All right. That's all of our record. Oh, wait. No, we got to predict.
We got to pick the game.
Seattle.
Yep.
Okay. I've got Seattle in Lumen, week 1. I think you got a lot of rookies on the defensive line. It's going to be tough to get pressure on Sam Darnold early because you're going to have to start some of those older guys who aren't as talented. A lot of guys returning from injury, trying to get back in the field of football, whereas McDonald's going to have those guys ready to go. This is a relatively decent, like this defense is mostly returning, no injuries or anything. You got a lot of great players on that defense. I think they're going to come out as the better team, more smooth, and win this one.
Outside of maybe Bills Ravens, this I think is the hardest game for me to pick. I think I'm going to go 49ers. I think I like the 49ers overall roster talent a little bit better than I like the Seahawks, and we're not worried about the injuries and all the bad juju piling up yet. So I'm going to pick a 49ers win. I want it to be an early season one. I think they might get the job done on day one.
It's already sort of started, though, Brandon Ayuk.
What happened with Ayuk?
He's hurt.
Oh, I thought he was going to miss the season going back a while. Not the entire season, but I thought he was going to have a slow couple weeks start.
Well, yeah, but I mean, that's just a bad start.
Fair enough. Yeah. Wouldn't expect anything otherwise.
He's on the PUP, so the juju's already kind of yeah.
He's on the PUP list.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that. I thought it was going to be a game or two.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it could still just be 4 games, so we'll see.
You're right, though. It's already started. Time to
Yeah.
tear up the entire NFC West predictions and do them again on my end.
As I said, just take the reciprocal of your record prediction. There you go. That's what the NFC West will be. All
Before we
right.
get out of here, you want to do our Super Bowl picks?
Yeah, let me read you my playoff teams real quick. So I had the Ravens as the number 1 seed in the AFC, Chiefs as the number 2 seed, Bills as the number 3 seed, Texans as the number 4 seed, the Broncos at the 5th seed, Chargers at the 6th, and the Bengals at the 7th. Those guys making the AFC playoffs with the Steelers just missing out. And then in the NFC, Buccaneers take home the 1 seed. Eagles take home the 2 seed. Vikes take home the 3 seed. Rams take home the 4 seed. Lions win the 5th seed. Packers get the 6th seed, and the Niners get the 7th seed. And that is the NFC playoffs. Cardinals and Commanders just missed out at 9-8. So they were close.
All right. And on my end, in the NFC, I have the Vikings as the 1 seed, the Eagles as the 2, the Buccaneers as the 3. They're all at 11-6. So that goes down to fractional win share. The Niners winning the NFC West as the 4th seed. And then I have the Packers as the 5, Lions as the 6, and Commanders as the 7. In the
All right.
AFC, I have, or I'm Victor, I'm getting so tired. Did you go through both conferences or just one?
I went through both.
Okay. And then in the AFC, I have the Ravens as my number 1 overall team. Then I have the Bills as number 2, Broncos 3, Texans 4, Chiefs 5, Bengals 6, and Chargers 7.
All right. Super Bowl picks. I am going to have the Ravens beating the Buccaneers to win the Super Bowl. Lamar Jackson gets it done. This is their best roster they've had. I think he's going to come out in his best form yet. Last year, he sort of put the playoff. He played a little bit worse than he did in the regular season in the playoffs, but not that much worse. And he also picked it up when it matters most. I'm not really concerned about that anymore. This is the best team they've had in a long time. There's not many weaknesses. It's got to be this year. I'm picking Baltimore, and I'm picking the Bucks to take the loss to them because the NFC is kind of weird, and I think that they have got the best team. So I think they're going to go out there and win it. If there's one person who knows how to fuck with Jalen Hurts' head, it's Todd Bowles. That's their biggest competition. I think Tampa gets it done, but not quite enough. Ravens beat the Bucks in the Super Bowl. Book it.
In the final nail in the This Show Sucks coffin, I also have the Ravens winning the Super Bowl, but I have it coming against the Eagles. Although that Buccaneers-Eagles matchup for the NFC Championship, that would be really sweet. That would just be a feel-good type of game. I wouldn't mind who won that one. Maybe it's the Bucks, like you mentioned. Pretty solid schematic matchup, but I still think the Eagles have the horses. It's a really deep lineup that has both depth and star power. We know that with the pipeline that the Eagles have built, even in their sort of holes and positions of need, they tend to have players step up. I'm not overly worried about injuries with them. And then obviously you have the Saquon Barkley behind an elite offensive line factor where things just get easier offensively, even though there's some ambiguity around the offensive play calling situation. I'm less worried about that for the Eagles than probably 30 of the other teams in the NFL. And as for the Ravens, they just got to get the job done. I mean, that is the only thing left for them. It's time. I think that locker room knows it's time. Maybe it's a little bit of wish fulfillment, and I just think Lamar should get one, but I've got the Ravens winning the Super Bowl as well.
Him and Josh deserve one so much, and I just think they're both going to be men on a mission. I think that's probably going to be the AFC Championship this year. I do think Kansas City might, maybe that's wishful thinking, get knocked out a little bit early. They get knocked out in the divisional by Buffalo, but I think that'll be the AFC Championship. Ultimately, Lamar's got the better roster. That's what decided it for me, but fuck, man, either one of them could do it. Lamar's going to be a man on a mission this year. He's going to be ridiculous. Wouldn't count him out to get his 3rd MVP either. MVP, Super Bowl final, and Super Bowl MVP, not out of the question.
Any final comments before we get out of here at 11 o'clock?
No, let's get the fuck out of here.
I've got one. Patrick Mahomes, please stop being so greedy. Let other people have rings once in a while. Last year was a good start. but there's more to go. Ladies and gentlemen, as always, stay hard.